Hello. Uh, okay. TikTok is apparently just really bad. Um, why? Remove, remove. I'm trying to do multi-streaming and it just doesn't work. Hello, everyone. Um, we're gonna be going through John 11 and 12 today. Christian Gayfly will be joining us later on in the evening. Uh, how you doing, Steven?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay,
In just
sounds
about
good.
every direction.
Yeah, I have no idea if I'm actually live on any other platform. So I guess we'll see. It says I'm live there. I'm not live here. And I got one viewer. Okay. So if I go live, chat, save. I didn't do anything. All right.
It's
Go live
incredibly
now.
unprofessional.
I know. And it's all TikTok's fault. All my homies hate TikTok. All right. So copy, paste, copy, paste. Bad website is the name of this one. Add server. Save changes. All right. How darest thou? How darest thou make fun of my glorious king TikTok? Oh, I'm alive now. Look at that. Hey, it worked. Crazy. All right. So now we are live on at least TikTok and YouTube. Absolutely no distractions. We'll see how that goes tonight. We may or may not have something planned that will absolutely be a distraction. Um, yeah. No promises, even a little bit for that one. Anyway, Christian Gadfly's putting the baby to sleep. Whenever he hops up, we will switch gears a tad bit. But we're going to be going through John 11 and 12. You're on Christian Gadfly's channel. I am on all the channels.
It's as though we've pirated his stream.
Yeah. Which may or may not be foreshadowing. Yeah. I had an idea to self-publish a dot-to-dot book on Amazon. Interesting. Go for it. Anyway, so let's get into John 11. Whilst we are waiting on the brother with his little boy. But now a certain man was sick, Lazarus from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. And it was the Mary who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. So the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. But when Jesus heard this, he said, the sickness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified by it. So he is saying that, oh, well, he's not going to actually be dead. He's going to resurrect and God will be glorified through it. Because this is also like him showing who he is, because it's by his own authority that he's raising the dead, which is kind of interesting. So like Elijah and Elisha obviously are like the parallels for this, but Elisha, even his bones were so holy that whenever someone touched it, it raised him back to life. So now we have at the word of Jesus that someone will be raised back to life. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister Lazarus. And so when he heard that he was sick, he then stayed 2 days in the place where he was. Why in the world did he stay for 2 days before coming if he loves them and if he knows that he is sick? That's a pretty weird thing. Christian Gadfly's wait, what is his thumbnail? You've now made me curious about his thumbnail. I roasted him. Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing. All right. Yes, his thumbnail is indeed better than mine. Um, which may or may not become relevant later on. So no blaming you there. Yo ho ho, a pirate's life for Chris. Yes. Anyway. So this is actually getting into the Talmud, which we'll go again through the stream as we did last stream, probably with a similar number of uh, side tangents. Then after he said to his disciples, "Let us go to Judea again," the disciples said to him, "Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and are you going there again?" Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours in the day?" Excuse me. "If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him." He said these things, and after that he said to them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go so that I may awaken him." So he's saying a bunch of things that have a context in Judaism. Obviously, the 12 hours in the day is a Jewish idea. The other nations didn't necessarily have that view of day and night cycles because it's obviously more daylight than 12 hours in the day, unless you're in Alaska, and then you have like one. So he's teaching, hey, so whenever I've brought this up every single stream so far, but John over and over and over and over again is giving the Jewish context, a first century Jewish eyewitness context to every single thing Jesus is teaching and doing. So he gives a lot of details that the synoptics don't have, but he's giving them to supplement, and the way that he gives them is only something a eyewitness or a Jew could give, or both. So these little details of how Jesus says things is showing the context of when this book was written, which I wrote about a lot in my book on the Talmud and why it's written before the Quran. So I've been literally just reading internal, external material evidences for the dating of books for the last week. So that's all I'm thinking about right now. It's just like, oh yeah, we can date this text from all these random phrases that John uses. So there's a ton of evidence for the credibility of the New Testament. That's just one aspect of it, that the language use itself, the context, the culture, matches first century Judaism, specifically pre-temple destruction Judaism. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. That's a tangent, but there's this interesting idea of a light to your feet or a lamp to your feet, and them having like hooks on their shoes for lamp post. Because if you have a lamp up high, it's not going to do as good of a job lighting up in a very dark or even like stormy night or windy night. So if you put the light by your feet, it's much easier to see where you're going. So like the word of God is a lamp to our feet. It guides every step that we take, even if we can't see the future, even if we're going to stumble. The word guides us and keeps us from stumbling as long as we are steadfast with it and we keep it lit, is the idea. Anyway, not relevant to that, but I do love that teaching. It's pretty cool.
Mm.
He said these things, and after that he said to them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go so I may awaken him." The falling asleep is an interesting idea. In the Talmud, you have this notion, and also in the Quran, that sleep is a form of death. So whenever you go to sleep, the soul is taken out of your body, and then whenever you wake up, God puts it back into you.
There's even to this day still Orthodox Jews, there's a prayer that you recite in the morning called Modeh Ani, and it's basically thanking God for putting your soul back in
Putting
you.
your soul back in you. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So we have that all over the place. You have a bunch of statements in the Talmud of that, and a bunch of practices. You have that in the like Zohar Kabbalistic side of it as well. That's just a very common belief of the time, that your soul leaves your body and then God can choose whether or not to put your soul back into your body, which will be relevant whenever we talk about Lazarus and how long he was dead in a second. But we have here both Jesus and Paul using this language of people. So is there any legitimacy of that? Probably not. But if I don't know what to do with that. Okay. We have someone who's joined. I'm going to turn off my camera real quick. Be right back.
Hey, look at that sharp guy in there. I should have worn a suit to this.
Yes.
This is kind of like, I feel like I'm at like J.C. Penney, and Chris has found like a nice pair of leopard print pants he wants to try on. And he goes, "You gotta like come, I'm gonna go try these on." And we're standing there in the dressing area, and I'm the guy that's standing outside the door. And while Chris puts on his ridiculous leopard print pants, this actually happened. And everyone kept looking at me like I was the weirdo because they couldn't see Chris on the inside of the dressing room putting on these ridiculous pants. And so that's why I don't go to JCPenney with Chris anymore. Now a long, deep, intent stare. Whoever blinks first crap, I blinked. Just try again. Whoever blinks first loses.
Okay.
But
Hold on. My stream.
now my eyes are dry. If you'll excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I will go. I'll be right back. I'm gonna moisten my eyeballs.
Yar. How goes thou? I cannot hear you if you be speaking to me. No, I cannot hear that. Yarg.
Ahoy!
Ahoy, matey. I can hear you now.
Me landlubbers.
Aha! I have my sword. I'm ready to go plunder. Ha ha! Yes. Ah. This can get me banned on TikTok. Ha ha! For those who are actually curious.
And I suppose I ought not to hold up my accessory.
We have Cora with us tonight as well.
Yar, we got some more booty with us.
I hope you save some of the booty for me.
I wanted to. I wanted to have 2 eye patches on and then 2 hooks, so that I could be like clumsy Steven, the shipmate. But I couldn't find any eye patches, and I was gonna make some hooks and then ran out of time. So I do have this, and I have something that is in Christian Gadfly's thumbnail, but I think according to Chris, it would be a bad idea to gesture with my black powder blunderbussy sort of thing. But so I'm a Somali pirate.
Land, ye.
Looking for booty, are you?
Oh, I found the booty. Yeah. Let's go plundering.
Okay, I was typing with one hand because I am going to commit to this hook the whole night. And it was like the caps lock is on. Well, that kind of fits anyway because pirates aren't really subtle, you know?
That's correct.
They're not.
Except for, well, regardless of that. I think I might be just as confused as the chat probably is. I know you guys had mentioned something about pirates, and I thought you were just, Christian Godfly says a lot of things, and so I thought it was one of those things that he says. And then today, it became clear that this was not just some chit chat. There was going to be a piratey thing, and so I was wondering, does this tie in, or is this just we just look like pirates?
You decide.
There's questions you ask that we do not know.
We're but simple pirates.
Yeah. Let's get back to the good book. So, after he said this, he added, "Our mate Lazarus has gone to sleep. But I'm going to wake him up."
Take that the whole time.
His crew replied, "Lord, if he's just napping, he'll mend." Jesus was talking about his ship sinking into death. But they thought he meant regular shut-eye. So Jesus laid it out straight. Lazarus is dead. Ye scallywags. And for your sakes, I'm glad I wasn't there so ye may truly believe. Now hoist the sails, let's go on to him. Then Thomas, the one they called the twin, said on to the rest of the crew, let's go too, so we can die with the captain. When they dropped anchor, Jesus found that Lazarus had been rotting in David Jones' locker for 4 whole days. Bethany was close to Jerusalem, about a 2-mile march, and many a local had come to comfort the lasses. Martha ran out to meet the Jesus, but Mary stayed in the cabin. Captain, Martha cried, if ye'd been here, my brother would have walked the plank. Wouldn't have walked the plank. But I know even now, whatever ye ask of God, he'll grant ye. Jesus said, your brother will rise to sail again. Martha answered, I know he'll rise in the great resurrection at the end of the days. Jesus looked her dead in the eye
Redneck.
and said, I am the resurrection and the life. Who believes in me?
Black preacher.
Hallelujah.
Instead of Blackbeard, he's Black Preacher the pirate.
Hey,
Jesus,
I'm-
are dead in the
I don't know if
eye.
you saw my name. I'm Captain Crunch, the sugary scourge of the seas. Now, you heard? Okay.
Oh, a real mother.
I
I need to change that.
I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though his ship capsizes and he dies, yet shall sail again. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never truly walk the plank. Do you believe in this, lass? She said, aye, Captain. I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who was prophesied to board our world. Then she went back and whispered to Mary, the captain is here and is calling for you. Mary bolted out the house. The locals followed her, thinking she was going to the tomb as well. When Mary saw Jesus, she fell at his boots, weeping, Captain,
He's Spaniard.
if you'd been here, my brother would have been dead. But Jesus saw her wailing. He was deeply troubled in his spirit and groaned, where have you laid him? He asked, come and see, Captain, they said. And Jesus wept.
That
Based.
should have been the title of this stream. Jesus wept.
Just like he's doing right now.
Right. Chris, that was like 16 different accents all in one. That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
It almost kind of. Have y'all ever seen My Fair Lady?
No.
So
I know
it's
I'm
this
dressed
old
like
musical.
in a niqabi, but that doesn't mean I'm into like musicals, Christian.
It's this old musical where this guy's trying to teach this lower class Londoner woman how to speak with a proper accent. And there's this part where it's like him and his friend, these professors, they're like professors of accents. And they sound like Chris when they're going through all these accents and sound, you're right, they're like listening to different vowels and stuff.
All right. So let's
Okay,
get into the
sorry,
English.
one more question.
Oh.
There's a pirate translation. What?
Yeah.
That's
Aye.
crazy.
What is happening?
Aye. Me lad, he made it for me. You can actually.
My cabin boy. Mama had many cabin boys.
It's actually a whole thing. You buy.
Wow.
Oh yeah. When you scuttle booty, let not your port hand know what your starboard hand be doing.
It's so stupid.
And the earth was without form. Void.
Aye. Now, let us go now. To the Talmud. Figure out what is all
there a
going on
pirate
in the text.
translation of that?
This pirate's about to sell me some brisket. Yeah, this is why we're killing the environment. We want to drain all the water out of the world so that we can do this right here. The future generations will be like, why did y'all lean so much on AI? It destroyed everything. We're eating
Yeah, they'll all
rats
be
now.
thirsty.
The robots have killed everyone. Why did you do it? And the robots will be like, well, this is what your great granddad was doing. And he's going to show this.
Charlie Brown, she's a fine young lady.
Apparently, me offspring were terrified at my voice and ran to my wife.
Mommy, Daddy's yelling at the
So-
computer again.
Also lost my sight. Spot.
All right, how's the Talmud? Should we read it for real so that people can track with what we're about to do? I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
If we were in
There's
a
no
real
tracking
Bible-
this book now.
Well, okay, how's the Talmud tie into this? So this is the story of Lazarus dying, in case you didn't hear that through all of the piratey southern sounds that just came from your computer.
I Lazarus be dead, and there's a discussion happening around him of him being dead for 3 days here, so he's gonna be a little stanky. So, what is the background to him being stanky
Oh, I got the first.
and the 3
I
days?
got the first aside for the night. So
All right.
we're trying to plan a retreat at my parents' ranch, and we put out all this rat poison to kill the rats that were in this. So we had some friends stay at this rent house, and they left in the night. They're like, "There's way too many rats in here. It's disgusting." They're like, "Man, I bet there's not that many." So we went over there and we looked in the place, and there was rat poop everywhere. We're like, "Okay, there's probably some rats here." So we put out all this rat poison. We left. We come back the next day, and some of it's been chewed on. We're like, "Okay, I guess we got them." So we put out a little more just to be safe. We left. We come back the next day. All of it's gone. If we had put out like sticks that are about this long, the hook is one end, okay? They're about that long. We put like 16 of those sticks in this house. All of them are gone. Not just moved, gone. And I looked at my dad, and he looked at me, and he's like, "I'm kind of creeped out." I was like, "Yeah, me too." It's just like hundreds of rats coming down on these. And so, yeah, so we're going to see how that place smells in 4 days.
Oh, boy.
Probably about how Lazarus's tomb smelled. My dad was like, "Actually, I'm
Let me
not worried
see if
about
I
it
can
'cause
spot him.
whenever they eat poison, they crave water, so they're just going to leave and go to the pond." It's like, well, let me look that up. Looked it up, and that's not true. So they're going to be dying in the walls of the attic. And I'm going to have to put gloves on and a mask and go there and find them all. But that's okay.
And that
The
would
Lord
probably
is good.
even, I mean, even with if the pond was pretty big, my friend has some country property, and he had to pull I think it was a dead squirrel out of his well that they have there, and just the one dead squirrel was pretty terrible. So if you had like 500 rats in your pond, that'd probably be a terrible thing.
Dead animals smell so bad. You guys have no idea.
Mm.
So bad. Baby diapers are nothing. They're nothing. I'll change 100 baby diapers before I have to smell one dead rat. just a rat. Imagine a whole army of them. Y'all know in the Quran, Solomon has an army of birds.
Oh yeah.
That'd
kind of-
be in Targum Sinai as well.
What kind of feathered friends do you think Solomon had there?
Are they like
Oh, a hoopoo
emus or-
bird. A hoopoo bird. It's about this big, and apparently it chokes out people.
And then also in Surat Rasulullah, it says if you die as a martyr, you are reborn as a green bird. And it just kind of feels like birds are shoehorned into Islamic literature. Like there's a battle where these birds drop
Aye.
pebbles on people and it kills them. And so I wanted to
The
make
green birds be coming from the Syriac Christian writings.
I
They
wanted
used
to make
to teach that if you were martyred, you would become a white bird and then ascend into paradise along with the other birds of paradise that we read in the Apocalypse of Paul and in Second Enoch. So
Is
there's
that where
this
they get that
Saint
bird
Ephraim.
stuff? They can't
That's where they
enough
get
of
that
those
bird
birds.
stuff.
And so I want
Yeah,
to make
there's apparently a section of the homilies being taught at that time saying all the martyrs are birds in paradise.
I want to
No.
make a video though that's like the writer's room for like the Quran and Islamic stuff. and it's like all these jinn sitting around dreaming up Islam. And one of them's just obsessed with birds, and he's dressed like a bird. And like whenever the other ones can't think of an idea, the bird one's like, "What? Put a bird in it!" And they're like, "No, we already did that. We just put birds in there. We don't need more birds." I do a bird. Okay, fine. God, leave us alone. It's like as a way to try to explain why there's birds, and then one of them will be like this horny pervert. I love bears, you know. We gotta make this video at some point.
That would be very
I'll need
good.
a whole group of people because I want it to be like a writer's room.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Listen here. I was raised in the hills of Tennessee.
Yeah, you sound like a Yankee trying to sneak into the Confederate Army.
Yeah.
Say
Hello,
shibboleth.
fellow Southerners.
He doesn't walk like we do. Somebody make him say shibboleth. Something's off. He smells too much like flowers. He don't got no skunk smell on him. Something's strange. Say Walmart. That's what they do to try to bust him. Have y'all seen that video where there's those ICE agents and they're trying to see if this Mexican guy's illegal or not? And he's like, "No, I'm supposed to be here, I promise." And they're like, "Say Walmart." Yeah, wait, Walmart. And then they
Walmart.
bust the door open and grab him.
Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, so let's go back to the helmet. I don't know. I might just mix up the accent as I go. We'll see how it happens. But
Guys, he's committed to this. So if you need some rum to get through this stream, here's your chance. Go get you some. Because
last week
I don't think he's
I was made fun of for not committing to the gorilla suit. So
what have I done? Oh, so it's my fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
Everyone
aye,
just
matey.
point your hooks at me.
Aye, we have more than hooks here, sir. So, the halakha is in accordance with the one who says, near Titans are within 30 days and distant ones after 30 days. So Rabbi Bakura, Rabbi Yonah, in the name of Rabbi Lakish, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said, it is written, the days of weeping and mourning of Moses concluded, days 2, weeping, 7, mourning 30. So if after your loved one that passes on to the hereafter, whether they be with Davy Jones or elsewhere, they are going to be in this situation for 30 days. They're going to be crying. Those who transpose days 7, weeping 2, mourning 30. From this, the mourning periods of 7 and 30. Well, what is 2? It is that is the mourner is extremely poor. If he is extremely poor, there's a different set of rules. On the first and second day, he does not perform labor, but on the third, he performs labor privately. But they said, may a curse be upon his neighbors who required him to do so. Bar Karpa said, even on the third day, he shall not perform labor at all, because it is an intense period of mourning. So third day in mourning is very significant within the Jewish idea of the Pharisees. Bar Karpa taught the most intense time of mourning is only on the third day. For 3 days, the soul. Well, listen up now. Listen up now. This is important. All right. For 3 days, the soul is hovering over its grave, believing that it will return to its body. So, as we mentioned earlier, the soul, every time you went to bed, every time you got some shut eye, it would leave your body, and then God Almighty will come down and put it back in your body upon waking up. And the Yehudas, they do that prayer every single time they wake up, blessing God for putting their soul back in their body. So this is the belief, and why specifically Lazarus was dead for 3 days, and why Jesus waited 2 days before going out and seeing his mate and weeping with him. So for 3 days, the soul will hover over the grave. So by the Jewish rabbinic idea at the time of the Pharisees, they would have believed that Lazarus was gone. There's no chance. He is completely gone.
In my mind, you're kind of like turning into a cartoon rattlesnake. I wish we had a friend who was an animator, and then they could just
With a
animate this
mustache.
feeling. Yeah.
For some reason, there's a mustache involved.
So the person dies, the soul floats over the body for 3 days, and then it goes back into the dead body. Is that what it's doing?
If they resurrect in that time, that's more acceptable. But if it's past 3 days, the soul cannot resurrect it back into the body now.
Oh, it just
or even
leaves the body.
supernatural.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It goes to be
So-
with the Lord in heaven or in
So
the
when
afterlife.
he raises him on the 4th day.
He raises him on the 4th day to challenge the rabbinic idea and to show that he is God. Yeah.
It's like the soul already left. Yeah, well, you know what? Boop, he's up. Wake up, Lazarus.
Indeed.
Wake up.
Aye.
Oh, interesting.
Aye. So, when it sees that the radiance of his face has changed, it goes and leaves it. So, that is also relevant to this idea. Now, this is Bereshit Rabbah 100. And we see that the radiance of his face, what does that mean? It means that his face starts to deform, his nose falls off, because it's 4 days after death. Your body getting eaten by little creatures that are inside your flesh, eating you.
Rats.
And whenever that happens, you fall off. So there is actually stuff in the Talmud talking about how you can testify upon the death of a person. Mishnah is Yevamot. One is 128 in the Babylonian top. One may testify that a man died only if he can testify about seeing the countenance of his face with the nose, as this allows one to identify the individual with certainty. Although there are distinguishing marks on his body and his personal belongings, which appear to indicate his identity, one may not rely on those as identification. Furthermore, one may not testify that a person died until his soul actually departs, and even if one saw him cut open and severely wounded or crucified even, or with an animal eating parts of him, he may not testify that he died. Additionally, one may testify to someone's death only when the body has witnessed up to 3 days following death and not after that, since the appearance may change due to decomposition.
It's kind of
My
hard to
wife
prove
is-
up a death.
Yeah. So that's the background. And then you also have the background. That's the background of the chat. That's the background of Lazarus being dead for 4 days and why all that is happening. But then we also have in the Mishnah, thought, if the daughter married, the husband has more rights and obligations than her father had before the marriage, as he consumes the produce of her property during her lifetime. And he is obligated to provide her sustenance. Her redemption is if she is captured, and on her burial upon her death. Rabbi Yehuda says even the poorest man of the Jewish people may not provide fewer than 2 flutes and a lamenting woman, which is customary to hire for a funeral, as these 2 are included in the duties of burial. So, according to this, they would hire the workers of basically like they just go out and they force people to weep with you, which is why whenever we see here, that whenever he was there and his captain is here and is going to the tomb, Captain, if you'd be here, my brother wouldn't be dead. When Jesus saw her wailing, he was deeply troubled in the spirit, and then he wept. Then the locals muttered. Well, who are the locals here? The locals here, especially if we read the actual translation, not the Pirates translation, the locals there are the people who are hired to be at the tomb.
There's also Jews from Jerusalem, and that's going to be important later. Because that's like Jerusalem's like the
Yes.
capital of Jesus's haters. And in fact, before this story, they're all worried about going there. They're like, really? Are we going to go to Bethany? It's only 2 miles from Jerusalem. And they tried to kill you last time we were down there. And then Jesus is like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. I know. It's so great to be able to get Core onto the stream. We believe in diversity here.
It's wonderful to join you fine gentlemen.
Such a manly voice. That's how we know it's her. a manly
Warrior
robotic
Booty
voice.
has a deep voice. It's gonna be her turn in the barrel soon.
At this point, I'm just got my face covered now, just because I don't want to be seen.
He doesn't
There
want
we
to be
go.
associated with men of our character.
Make him walk the plank.
Aye. So these locals here who are weeping with Mary and Martha, they are there. They're hired there as part of a public procession, essentially. They would be there for a couple days and they would just be professional criers. And they would just cry. That's what they did. So the locals muttered, "Blimey, look how he loved the lad." But some grumbled, "Couldn't this fellow who gave eyes to the blind have kept this lubber from sinking?" Jesus, groaning again, came to the tomb, a dark cave with a massive boulder rolling over the mouth. "Heave that stone away," Jesus commanded. Martha, the dead lad's sister, cried, "But Captain, by now he stinks like a rotten whale carcass. He's been dead for 4 days."
Like Al
Jesus
Ambar.
said, "Didn't I tell you?" What that?
Like Al Ambar. That's a little Hadith reference if you've read them. And Bukhari, a whale washes up on the shore and they all eat it. And they're like wondering if they were allowed to or not.
For the Sora, the Sabbath.
Captain Crunch, we're going to read through this whole thing first and then come back to what we need to say, right?
I. Jesus said, "Didn't I tell ye that if ye believed, ye'd see the glory of God?" So they hauled the stone away, just looked up to the heavens and said, "Father, I thank ye that ye've heard me. Now let him see." And he roared with a voice like thunder, "Lazarus, come out and get ye out here." And the dead man walked right out, wrapped head to toe in burial shrouds, his face tied up in a cloth. Jesus said to him, "Cut him loose for his ropes and let him set free." A ton of the locals who saw his miracle put their faith in the captain. But some went straight to the Pharisee. High command ratted him out. The chief priests and Pharisees called a council. "What are we doing?" They panicked. "This man is pulling off crazy signs. If we let him keep sailing like this, everyone will mutiny and follow him. And the Roman Empire will come blow our temple and our nation out of the water." Caiaphas, the high priest that year, spoke up. "Ye know notation, ye blind landlubbers. Ye don't see that it's better for one man to die for the crew than for the whole nation to be destroyed." He didn't say this on his own hook, of course, as high priest. He was prophesying that Jesus would die for the nation. From that day on, they plotted to assassinate the captain. Aye.
And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The pirate's translation of the Bible. Thank you, Crepin Crunch. That was excellent.
Sounds like Stephen Hawking.
You sound pretty robotic. We'll go through that later.
Now you sound like one of the aliens from the prequels, the Star Wars prequels.
The Jedi Council.
Oh, that had the weird Japanese accent for some
Yeah.
reason. I never understood that.
I never seen someone manifest so many demons so seamlessly. Bravo. There be many in here. Aye.
My hook hand is getting itchy.
What is that? Is that old joke? I think it is. Oh, I saw it in a cartoon when I was a kid, but I forget which one. There's like a Captain Hook guy and they go, "Captain Hook, how do you pick your nose with that thing?" And he goes, "Very carefully."
Let's see if I can do it. I got it.
Oh yeah.
Helps when there's a camera.
I get not be Halloween. This be our life. We're swashbucklers. Going out getting booty. Yeah.
You're not going to be able to talk
He
for a
forgot.
week, Chris.
I know. He's gonna
I already can't. Let's continue on now.
Well,
down the
wait. I have stuff I
Yeah.
want to say about John 11. I thought we were going to read through it and then go back and say stuff.
I was waiting for you. You didn't.
Okay. Sorry. Let's go to
Easy does it, Captain.
some big themes here are sleep versus could we go to a more we can come back to the pirate translation.
Yeah.
I'm not firing cannonballs at it, but
I want to see where he's talking about colonists next stream. That's what we are. I mean, okay. Yeah. So before I got on, did you talk about how Mary reacted versus how Martha reacted to the news that he hadn't come yet, and then he's finally there? Because I was wondering about this.
Oh yeah, that's
We did not hear you.
that's a fun little. I'm assuming that what you're
So,
gonna comment on
Jesus
that,
loves the whole family. He loves Mary. Yeah, it says Martha and her sister. I think that's interesting, and Lazarus. When he heard this, he was sick. He stayed. When he heard this that he was sick, he then stayed 2 days in the place. Some translations say, he heard that he was sick, yet he stayed 2 days in the place, but that's not a good translation of. Where's mine? So he says 6. Hos un ekusen hoti astene tote men emenen hen ho ein topo duo himeras. It's like when he heard that he was sick, then he stayed 2 days. So something about hearing that he's sick makes him stay 2 days. Why would he stay longer when he hears that he's sick?
In order for him to be dead for 3 days.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all covered that already. How far did y'all get before I got on?
Not too far.
Yeah.
I was.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me. No. Go back up. Go back up. I got more comments.
Where we ended.
Oh, okay. Scroll up. Okay. So the disciple said to him, oh no, there it is. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let's go to Judea again. The disciple said to the rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, how they're just about to kill him. And so he's going there anyway. And then he gets to this confusing dialogue. Are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. I sat and I read this and I tried to figure it out and I thought about it. It's puzzling. So they go, if we go back there, we're going to be killed. And then he goes, it's daytime. It's not night. That's basically what he's saying. So you go, what does that mean? And I think he's trying to say, it's my time to do this right now. It's basically what he's saying. Do y'all agree that's what he's saying there?
I think so, especially when he comments on. I think we covered it in one of the previous ones where he talks about the night is coming where no one can work. Kind of seems like he's using it as a description for when, like his mission, basically.
Not his time to walk the plank yet.
Yeah. Okay. Scroll. So scroll down. But what's interesting is he's triggering his walking of the plank, because you'll see at the end of this that when the Sanhedrin meets, that this is when they decide to really kill him, is after this miracle. Wait, go back up to 11. I'm not done yet. Sorry. let me get my commentary off. He said these things, and then after that, he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I must go so that I may awaken him. There's that continuing theme in John where he's speaking on a spiritual level and everyone's hearing him on an earthly level. And this one has always been really funny to me because Jesus finally just drops it and just says it literally because I guess he's just sick of people not getting what he's saying. The disciple says to him, Lord, if he's fallen asleep, he will be saved from his sickness. And then Jesus says, Jesus had spoken of the death, but they thought that he was speaking of actual sleep. So Jesus said to them plainly, and they go down. It's like he's sick of them not understanding. Lazarus is dead. I can't remember what movie I saw it on, but is that have you ever seen Young Frankenstein?
Yeah, a long time ago.
So like he is being strangled by this monster.
Oh, yeah.
And he's trying to tell this woman that she needs to put the sedative into the monster. And so he's like, there are 3 syllables, but he's not able to talk because he's being choked. And they finally figure out he wants sedative, but Igor was thinking he was saying sedative.
Yeah.
He's like, sedative! After they finally knocked. I imagine Jesus being same kind of energy. Lazarus is dead. I'm glad for your sakes that I was not there so that you may believe, but let's go to him. And then this is interesting because Thomas elsewhere is the doubter. He's the big doubter. But look what he says here. Thomas, who's called Didymus, that means twin, by the way, said to his fellow disciples, let's also go so that are we about to see the pirate version? What did they say for twin? His look-alike. Something.
The one they called the twin.
Oh, yeah. Good on the pirate version.
I
Instead of just the one
We
they
speak
called
true.
Didymus. Okay, so let us also go so that we can die with him. So later on, he's a highly skeptical guy who's got balls of steel. That's who Thomas is. It's a complex portrait. Real people are complex. They'll let you down in one way, but then really impress you in another way. And so he's going to be like, I'm not going to believe he really rose from the dead unless I put my finger in the puncture wound from the nail later on. But now he's like, oh yeah, we're dying. Okay. I'm with Jesus. That's basically his position here. And I also like John's gospel. He gives us more character development on Thomas, Andrew, and Philip, because the synoptic gospels don't give any of the dialogue from those guys. We never hear what Thomas says or Philip or Andrew say, but all 3 of them speak a lot more in John's gospel. And this one's written later. And it's like, I think those 3 disciples are all from Bethsaida, where John's family is from. And maybe John grew up with those guys, and he's kind of like wishing the world knew more about what they said, because he's saying himself and Peter and John get all the glory, or James get all the glory. And he wants those 3 kind of like his brothers, but he probably grew up with them. He wants those 3 to get a little bit more of a spotlight. I think Nathaniel was nearby too. And so he's John kind of gives them a little bit more of a spotlight in his gospel than he gets in the synoptics. And this was part of what made me, it's not a super strong argument for authentic authorship, but it's an argument, because it's like all the people that grew up with him are the ones who have more dialogue. And why would that be unless it's really him? You know, and then combo that with the fact that he never names himself. What pseudographer doesn't name themselves? It's like you read all, like the Gospel of Philip and the Gnostic Gospels, or the Gospel of like they always make it obvious that it's them because it's fake. You know, this is me, Philip, writing this. I am Philip, and this is my gospel written by Philip. You know, but if a pseudographer is trying to fake that they wrote something and then they don't even say their own name, that's ridiculous. So why would the early church have made up this tradition that it was written by John unless John wrote it? Because he's not trying to claim that he's John.
Did not be a tall tale.
Yeah, and that's something that people try to say. They go, well, they're totally anonymous. It's like, well, in their earliest versions, they probably had a title page that said Kata Ioane, or, you know, whatever, according to John. And all our earliest manuscripts have title that where the page isn't ripped off. They have that title page. So it probably wasn't even anonymous anyway. But the fact that he doesn't name himself in the manuscript is just evidence that it's not a pseudographer. Take us back to the text. Let me see that text again. I'll catch us up to 12 and then we can keep going.
Thank you, Randy, for the 2 months of booty. And thank you, FB, for the 1 month of booty.
Okay, so Lazarus is dead. Let us also go so that we may die with him. Okay, so when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. We talked about that from the Talmud. But 15 stadia away, I think that's like 2 miles. And many of the Jews had, let's see, what is it?
1.7.
Yeah.
I could say all that in 5 minutes.
Okay, so
I have a good ship.
And many Jews had come to Mary and Martha to console them about their brother. So it says Jerusalem's really close by, and a lot of Jews had come to console Mary and Martha. You go, oh, that's sweet. A lot of people love them. No, that's not what the author is telling you here. The author is signifying to you danger, 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 because all these people from Jerusalem are at this event. And you're going to see later on in this story where it says half of them believed in him because of this, but the other half go and tell the Pharisees. Yeah, which is kind of like Jesus's MO. His modus operandi is like high risk, high reward all the time. It's like radical love and high risk, high reward, where it ends up saving people and then he gets killed. Okay. Yeah, look what Martha says. So she meets him. She says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know whatever you ask from God, God will give you. And then Jesus says, your brother will rise again. And she interprets that as the final resurrection. She says, I know he'll rise again in the resurrection. He says, no, basically, I'm the resurrection. And gosh, this is such a cool line. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die ever. Do you believe this? And in the other story, we always tell the story where like Mary is the good guy and Martha's the bad guy, because Martha was going and doing dishes and preparing, and Mary was trying to learn at Jesus's feet. And we always tell that story. But in this story, Martha's kind of the good guy. Like, she has so much faith. She goes, I know anything you ask from God, God will give you. You know, like she believes in him. She says, I wish you'd been here when he was sick, but you know what? I know that whatever you ask God, he's going to give you. And then Mary seems to have a little bit less faith in this story. Scroll down. Well, she said, scroll up a little bit. I missed she said to him, yes, Lord, I believed that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who comes into the world. And when she said this, she went away and called Mary, her sister, saying secretly, the teacher is here. Why do you think she said it secretly?
Could have been
not
maybe.
embarrass her.
Oh, yeah, that too. Or maybe they were worried about there was a lot of those not so wholesome fellas around.
Yeah,
Hired mourners.
that might be part of it. Or maybe she already knew Jesus was nearby, but this is Martha trying to politely get her to go there. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think probably mainly it's to avoid the Judeans who are ultimately going to have Jesus killed. I think everyone's a little tense. Have you ever had a family reunion and there's some estranged family member that's there? It's like, well, they're family, but this is kind of tense, and you feel it in your shoulders. Have you ever been in that situation? They're probably in this situation, especially in the ancient world where your communities were way bigger. And so there's probably a lot less people that you don't know as well coming to whatever it is that you have going on. Okay, so let's scroll back down where she's telling. Oh, you're about to say something?
So this belief is also in the Talmud of the great resurrection. Now this ends up in the Quran, but it is also very popular among the Pharisees, and the Sadducees, of course, denied the great resurrection. And that was one of the big debates and effects and attacks between the two groups, and why the Pharisees said it's okay to gut them like a fish. So we have the belief in the resurrection of the last day being the primary belief of the Pharisees of the time. So Martha is repeating the most common taught theology of Jews of the day. And then Jesus responds with, I am the resurrection and the life. So he is not only saying like, yeah, of course that can happen, but you're misunderstanding the point. I am God. I am the one who has life in him. I am the one who's going to resurrect those on that day. So he's identifying himself as God in at least 3 ways in this one sentence, which is pretty based.
I am going to clip you out of context with that accent saying I am God, dressed like a pirate. Just so you know. No, it was a weird stream. I am God. He's got like an eye patch on. When she heard it, she got up quickly. It says quickly, so maybe she didn't already know he was there. She got up quickly and was coming to him. Now, Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha met him. I wonder why John is ambiguous about where this place was. Maybe it was a meeting place of the Christians and he didn't want it highlighted during the early church. Okay. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and those consoling her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, they followed her, thinking she was going to the tomb to cry there. Therefore, Mary came where Jesus was. She saw him and fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. See how that it feels like less faith than Martha, who says, I wish you had been here, but I know whatever you ask will be given to you. Right? It's just different. Therefore, when Mary came where Jesus was, she saw, see. And I love John's portraits of these people. Like, they're just complex. We always hear about the bad about Thomas, but we saw earlier where he had this courage. And I like the fact that we're seeing Mary struggling in her faith, but we also see her prioritizing being a disciple of God over the niceties and cultural norms of her day. And then in Martha, I kind of sympathize with Martha because, like, well, somebody's got to do the dishes and bring out the food, you know, especially when you have kids. It's like, I can't, you know, I can make them do what they can do, but ultimately the parents are going to have to get up and fix this, you know? So maybe Martha had a whole childhood where she's the one who ends up doing the stuff and Mary's off skipping through the flowers and she's irritated. You know?
Yeah.
But you have kind of with very few words, John's able to paint these complex portraits of people. If you pay attention, you go, oh, you know, Thomas is kind of a badass, but also doubts. And Mary is like really open and ready to learn and absorbed, has this passion for the message, but then also lacks faith when she's in pain, when her brother's dead. You know, and Martha, she gets up and she gets the work done, but sometimes she misses the magic moments in life because she's too stuck in the routine. But she can also have faith in God even when she's in pain. I feel like she's the older sister. She's kind of just got it more together for good and worse, right? Because we're supposed to have childlike hearts in a sense. And sometimes when you get in that parent mode, you lose your childlike heart. And so you got to have a little Mary. You got to have a little Martha. Okay, so Mary came where are we?
Oh.
Thinking she was going to the
also
tomb.
have.
Oh, yeah.
Why did they follow her to the tomb? Well, they be trying to get the booty. And in order for them to get paid, they needed to mourn in public for her all the time. So they thought that she was going there to cry, so they followed her in order to cry with her publicly as their profession demanded. So they're not going there out of curiosity. They're not going out of there out of sympathy. They're going out of there to get that buck, to get that bread, fam. So.
You know what? When I first learned about professional mourners, I thought that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. And what in the world are people doing that? But then I realized more, like, as I've experienced situations where like things are sad with a group of people, you can be like holding it together real well and you think you're okay. And then you look over and you see someone start to cry, and then you can't keep it in anymore, because mourning is a good thing to do. And so it's interesting that uh y- they would do something like this, which I would imagine is probably one, as a like a sign of respect for the dead, and that, like, look how many people are missing them. But also, I would imagine there was an aspect to it where it kind of helps anybody who might be having trouble feeling the correct emotion, or the emotions there, that it kind of kicks it in for them.
When I was a kid, my mom showed me a little jar that she said Jewish people used to capture their tears to show people how much they cried. And I thought that was so cool. I don't even know if it's real. This
Oh, wow, I've
memory is
never heard
so
of that.
old. Yeah, this memory is so old. It might just be a corrupted memory. That might not even be. Maybe it was a weird dream I had, but I haven't. Yeah, it's a cool idea though. I just remember there's like
Yeah.
this little glass jar that supposedly Jewish people used to capture their tears when they were mourning for someone, so they could like give someone the tears, which is so cool because it's like whenever someone's in emotional pain, they just want to know that you're there with them. You know, it's like if you're
Mm.
wanting to give them a present, what do you get them? I don't know, but that would be such a meaningful thing for me if someone just, hey, here's the tears I cried when your father passed away. It's like, oh, thank
Mm.
you. You know,
Yeah, that'd be I've never heard of that, but if that might be something to start up, Christian. You can you can be the accidental inventor of that.
it might not be a real thing. Therefore, when Mary came where Jesus was, she saw him and fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus therefore saw her crying, oh, this is interesting. Pay close attention to this. And the Jews who came with her also crying, he was deeply moved in spirit and was troubled. And then that's what happens. And said, where have you laid him? And they said, come see, Lord. Come and see. Jesus wept. And then let's keep going. Yeah, highlight Jesus wept. We'll come back to it just a second. So the Jews were saying, see how he loved him. But some of them said, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man also from dying? So I thought, why do you think Jesus was weeping? That's the question.
This would be one of my favorite aspects of the Bible. In Romans, Paul talks about how God has become man, and because of that, he has experienced weakness. He has experienced what it's like to be human. He has experienced temptation. He has experienced trouble and hardship. He knows what it's like to be human. Therefore, he is a perfect judge. If God had never became human, he would not be the type of judge that we need, because he couldn't relate to us. Jesus can relate to us in all aspects of humanity. So he is the perfect judge of our sin, because not only was he able to withstand temptation and live this endless life and perfect human life, he is also aware of our weakness and know what it's like. So whenever he judges us, he can judge us more in mercy and grace. So not only does his blood allow us to receive grace, him being a human allows him to relate to us, to be a better judge of us and to love us more deeply because he knows of our struggle. He
Stephen,
wept
you look like
because
you're thinking something deep. Why do you think Jesus wept here?
Well, I was just thinking it's funny with what Chris was saying, because I just read something in Hebrews 4 that stood out to me, which was basically all of what Chris said, that I had forgotten about how he was subject to everything that we were subjected to, but without sin. But why he wept here, I always thought it was a demonstration of like just him really, really loving. And also, I mean, death is probably extra grotesque to Jesus because it's not only a physical thing, but he knows what brought that on. And I think there's a whole bunch of reasons.
Let me play the rabbi for a second. I have a
Okay.
good friend who's a rabbi, and he just notoriously asks questions, even now, which is so funny because it's like if you watch Jesus's dialogue, he's asking questions all the time. Jesus did not weep when he was speaking with Martha, why did he start weeping here?
He experienced the pain of the people,
The pain was there back
He
when he was
saw-
speaking with Martha, too.
the bitterness of the weeping.
Here's where I think there might be more going on here. I think the lack of faith is making him sad.
Oh,
Mm.
Because it's not until he talks to Mary and he sees how sad she. Why is Mary sad?
The brother's dead.
Why is Martha more composed while Mary is more sad?
I mean, you have the same thing happen with David. David wept whenever his son died. But immediately after the 7 days of mourning were over, he stood up, he dusted himself off, he cleaned off his face, he got off the sackcloth, and he returned to his duties. And his men were like, how in the world could you be this way? Don't you love your son? Aren't you sad? And he said, I will be with my son again. So even though David was entirely aware of the resurrection, of what was going to happen in the future, David still wept. So I don't know if it is right to say that it's because Martha is accepting the resurrection or not. Maybe it's just because Mary is a good.
Well,
bit
remember, what
younger
does
than
Martha say that's different than Mary? Says, I know whatever you ask God, he'll do.
Ah,
And I think that's part of why she's not in as much pain either.
mm,
He has more faith. And then even with the even with the resurrection, yeah, well, I know he'll rise again at the resurrection. Even that is grounding Martha a little bit. So I think Jesus knows that a word he could heal this man. So I don't think he's necessarily just crying because Lazarus is dead. Death is nothing to Jesus. He conquered death. Death is Jesus's bitch. Right? Sorry for the language, but he doesn't care about death. But what grieves him is seeing his sheep grieving, and what makes them grieve when they don't have faith. Because Mary doesn't have the same faith that Martha did here.
mm,
If you look at Mary, she goes, "Why weren't you here? You could have saved my brother." Then he starts crying. And then it says right after that, some of them are saying, "See how he loved him," which I think he did. And I think probably, whenever I cry, it's not just for one reason. I'm feeling emotions everywhere. I'm kind of the Mary in my marriage, and my wife is the Martha. She's more grounded. And I'm I don't know if you can tell, I'm zany and weird and more creative. So he's weeping, but I think it's because he's seeing their lack of faith, and he's realizing if they had more faith, they wouldn't have to be going through this pain right now.
mm.
And so some of the Jews will say, "See how he loved him? Yeah, he's crying because he loved him. But then look, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" So they're in that same, and maybe he's kind of let down by Mary a little bit too. He's like, "Really, you're going to talk like one of them? You're not. You're one of my sheep. You're not one of these fake mourners, But then look what he does. He doesn't get mad at Mary. So Jesus, again, being deeply moved within. Look how many times it said he's moved within. So I think it's probably a lot of things going on. I think if we sat and thought about it, we'd find even more things. But obviously, it's the death of Lazarus and the lack of faith. But there's probably way more. Because Jesus is intelligent and he's complicated. And the more you sit and think about what he's doing, the more stuff you pull out. He came to the tomb. Now it was a cave and a stone was lying against it. Wow, this is interesting. It's like, I wonder what is going. Probably, hey, you want to know another thing that might be making Jesus cry? Is knowing his fate and seeing all the symbolism that is probably meaningful to him because he knows he's going to have to die soon. Right?
Mm.
So that's probably going on in there too. It's like in Harry Potter, whenever have y'all seen the Harry Potter movies?
Mm-mm.
And there's this one part where it's the two boys and they're talking with Hermione, and Hermione's like helping psychoanalyze why this one girl's crying. And she's saying a bunch of things. And Ron's like, one person can't feel all those things at the same time, can it? That's kind of like Jesus. If you explained it to Peter, he's like the dunce of the group. I can imagine Peter being like, there's no way Jesus could be feeling all those things at the same time, could he? He's deeply moved within. He comes to the tomb. It's a cave with a stone lying against it. and he knows he's going to have to go face his death soon. Jesus said, remove the stone. Woo, that gives me chills. Okay, remove the stone. Martha, the sister of the deceased, said to him, Lord, by this time he smells, for he has been dead 4 days. So there she is, being someone who's cleaning up messes all the time, and she's trying to keep this from being a mess. He probably stinks. Shut it. And she's talking about her own brother. This is a woman who's probably dealt with, I imagine her being older, and she's dealt with pain before, and she probably has kids. It's just, she's just more numb than Mary. And she's like, he's dead. It's going to stink. Even though she's talking about her brother, but she to me seems like someone who has practiced keeping it together when it was all chaos. And so she's like a mom, he's going to stink. Shut the tomb. Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? And guess what? God doesn't come out of the tomb here, right? How are you seeing the glory of God? Through Jesus's act. So they removed the stone. Then Jesus raised his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me, and I knew that you always hear me. But because of the crowd standing around, I said this, so that they may believe that you sent me. So Jesus has this intimate connection with the Father where basically his thoughts are like prayers. Can y'all still hear me? Okay.
Aye.
Okay. His thoughts are like they go straight to the Father. He has this intimate connection, but he speaks aloud and he shows things physically and outside in the physical world just for us. He's the Word, right? He's God's like communicative effect within reality. And when he said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And I heard a teacher one time tell me he had to say Lazarus there because if he just said come forth, all the dead would have raised and it would have triggered the resurrection. The man who died
similar.
The man who had died came forth, bound hand and foot with wrappings, and his face was wrapped around with a cloth. Jesus said to him, unbind him and let him go. Therefore, many of the Jews, who came to Mary and saw what he had done, believed in him, but some of them went to the Pharisees and told them the things which Jesus had done. You wonder, why are they doing that? Well, they like to stir up trouble. It's like my dad was helping his sister and her husband bury a dead cat, and they dug right next to my mom's maple tree. And I was like, why did they do that? And they busted the roots of this maple tree to bury this dead cat. And like the little kid Christian gadfly who loves drama went inside. I only caught myself later. I was like, why did I do this? So I went to my mom, like, Mom, why would they do this? They dug the cat grave right next to your maple tree and chopped up the roots. They did what? And then she runs out there, and I'm like, oh gosh, what did I do? It just triggered this whole fight. It's so stupid. But that's what these Jews are like. They're going to the Pharisees because they like drama, and they're going to try to stir up some drama.
All right. I need to drop anchor. I'll be right back.
Is he shooting a cannonball off into the? Well, give us the Bible back. I can't teach on it without being able to see it. So basically, they go to the Pharisees, and John loves double entendres and double meanings, and they have this meeting. Here, I'll pull it up on Bible Gateway. I am so sorry. I'm about to burp. Oh, here Did I mute that in time?
Yeah, you did. That was very, very skilled muting there.
Everything's harder with a hook hand.
Except for gouging eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just got a little bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I could share I'll just share my screen.
Oh boy, now we've pirated Chris's stream. Quick, let's kick him out and not let him back until he
Can you guys see this?
Not yet, I don't think.
Oh, it has to be approved by Chris, I guess. Pull out your Bibles.
Typical.
Go to chapter 11:45. Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary had seen Jesus did believe in him, but some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. The chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. What are we accomplishing? You can tell a meeting is not going to go well when the first thing that's said is, what are we accomplishing? They asked, here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. Why do you think that is, Stephen? Why would they take away the temple and the nation?
Because they would not allow for a king under their without their that they didn't put in place.
Yeah. So something I didn't realize. I'm supposed to have a hook can. The title of Messiah is political. It's a king.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'd be like someone walking around America giving out passports and
Yeah, right.
Making people citizens and this stuff without the approval of the US government. And you go, well, who is this clown? What authority does this guy have? And that's why you always have these people in the Gospels going, well, where'd you get this authority? It's because he's doing things that only a king should be able to do. And so he's playing king, and Romans, they're not going to like a king, right? Because only Caesar is king. And so these Jews are scared that they're going to get killed because of him playing king. Because Messiah is a very political title. Verse 49, then one of them named Caiaphas, who's the high priest that year, spoke up, you know nothing at all. You do not realize that it is, and here's the important, it is better for you that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish. I love that. Think about this for a second.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Stephen, break down what Caiaphas means this to say. What is he saying?
He means that we're all at risk with this guy running around, and even if it
Why?
seems
Why are we at risk?
from the Romans, and so what he's saying is, look, even if this it might not be the best choice, but it's better him than everybody, and so we got to figure out what to do to get rid of him because he's putting our entire people in jeopardy.
Now, what is the deeper truth that he's saying without realizing it?
Well, the funny thing is he's saying exactly what Jesus's whole mission is.
Yeah. Better for you that one man should die, the sacrificial Passover lamb for the people, that the whole nation perish in their sins in exile away from God. So he's like spitting out true theology, and he doesn't even mean to. He's being political.
It's accidental prophecy.
Yeah. And a double meaning. John loves these double meanings where even though the Pharisees are stuck in the earthly, mundane, non-spiritual meanings, they're still saying spiritual truths without meaning to. Now, he did not say this from himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation. And not for the nation only. Here's where it gets even more controversial. But in order that he might also gather together into one the children of God who are scattered abroad. This was a real breaking of a border that made the Pharisees mad, because you weren't supposed to mix with the Gentiles, and you're supposed to stay true to the Torah in order for the eschaton to be ushered in. But Jesus is saying the eschaton is here, and now you need to be centered in me. And the nations are now being reintegrated back into God's plan in the same way that they were exiled after the Tower of Babel.
Do you want to define what an eschaton is real quick?
It's like the end time judgment where the kingdom of God comes on earth and the wrongs are set to right, and God reigns as king. But we know now that that's through Jesus. But they believed, the Jews, they always believed that Yahweh would come and reign as king in this eschaton. And that is the good news, by the way, of Isaiah. That's where we get the word gospel. And that's why Mark in his intro quotes Isaiah 40. It says the good news of the coming of the kingdom of God, where God will reign in Zion. Well, now we know that God does that through Jesus Christ. And anyone who understands that and what that means and how that intros Jesus into their story realizes how high the Christology of Mark is. A lot of times skeptics say,
It's crazy.
well, Mark's early and it has a low Christology. No, it doesn't. It's saying that the coming of Yahweh reigning in the eschaton is brought in through Jesus. It's saying that Jesus is
Mhm.
Yahweh. And that's how he intros his book, and that's how he defines good news.
Mm.
One interesting thing with Mark, so most of the Gospels, Luke and John explicitly call it Caiaphas as the high priest. Mark doesn't actually name the high priest. He just says the high priest. And there are some scholars, Joshua, I don't remember his last name at the moment. He suggests that because Mark is not using the name of Caiaphas in his gospel, that he might have been writing within the office of Caiaphas. So you might be able to do an extremely
interesting.
early dating for Mark to 33 to 36 AD.
Oh, wow.
So like right after the
Songs of Release said, is it
Jesus
Joshua
crucified.
Little? Is it Joshua Little? Does
No,
that
Joshua
ring a bell?
Little is the Islam guy.
Oh, okay.
Joshua Little does a lot of stuff for the Quran and the manuscript errors and all that stuff of it. He's the guy you should bring up in a lot of discussions with Muslims. He's pretty useful. His books are pretty good. Recommend it. No, it starts like an S, like Schwartz, something like that. But yeah, there's some scholars that are dating Mark to a much earlier time in written history. The only problem with Mark is that it seems to be a blending of Matthew and Luke. So I'm actually a Matthew prioritist. I'm a Mattheanist.
You're like the early
I'm
church.
not a Marxist. Yes, I think Matthew actually was written first in Hebrew. And I think Luke was written after that with another gospel we may or may not have now. And then Mark was written after those two. And it's actually interesting. There's several passages in Mark where he literally, it's one verse of Matthew, and then it's a verse of Luke, and then it's a verse of Matthew, then it's a verse of Luke, then it's a verse of Matthew, then it's a verse of Luke. So he's stitching together Luke and Matthew's details back to back to back to back for an entire dialogue, and then he adds more content to the description of the people talking. So Mark is the shortest gospel, but it has the longest individual narrations between two people for almost every story that it narrates. So it's the longest version, yet it's also the shortest gospel. And it's weird how that's set up. So it might have been in the like late 30s, early 40s. But it is extremely interesting that he doesn't name Caiaphas as high priest when Caiaphas stopped being high priest in 36 AD. So
Another
Interesting
example
there.
where this integration of the nations is something that Jesus intended, but also made everyone mad, is if you read in Luke, like around chapter 4, he whenever he's first preaching, and he talks about there was all kinds of Israelites who had leprosy in the time of Elijah, but he healed Naaman or whatever his name was, and then there's the
Right,
Syrophoenician
the Gentile.
woman, and
Right. Yeah.
that makes him
All
mad.
sorts
Is
of
that-
widows, but he sent it to the Gentile. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could tell it's like it's a hot points you could tell are like Sabbath laws, defining family and land, Gentile versus outside.
hmm
Pay attention to those points where Jesus clashes with the Pharisees, and it'll help you get into their world and get into their mindset. And a good book for that is Jesus and the Victory of God by N.T. Wright.
I am
really
also
good book.
writing a book on that. So in the next like 3 years, I'll have a deeply rabbinic commentary on the New Testament. But we have these are, I also wanted to point out, but my pirate speak was a little hard to communicate it. So the fact that this is here, it's interesting just because that it's also within not only archaeological history that we have, it's also within the Talmud as a description of how they would bury people. And his critics are saying, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? This is a messianic claim. So they're saying, hey, if this man's truly the Messiah, couldn't he have kept this man from dying? Because the messianic era is not supposed to have death. So if the Messiah is here, why did he die? That's That's kind of the polemic against Jesus. So they're using very Jewish polemics against Jesus here, even though they basically, yeah, you kind of are the Messiah, but how could he die if you truly are the Messiah? And I also love the
Right,
unbind him. Oh,
it's
beautiful.
kind of
Go
like
ahead.
it's kind of like their challenge is again an accidental acknowledgement of what they actually think.
What were you about to say about unbind him, Chris?
So unbind him is just interesting in general. You do have the idea of us being bound as slaves to this world, or slaves to death. So he resurrects him from the death, and then he says, unbind him and let him go. So the fact that he was bound to Sheol, now he's lifted out of the pit, given new life, and then says, let him go, is just such an interesting, like, 1-2 punch of him talking about Lazarus as once he was dead, now he's alive. You can make a parallel to it being part of the new covenant as well. Like, once you were dead in your sin, and now you are alive in Christ, because he is the resurrection and the life. The way he gives us life is by his blood, by the new covenant. So you have the unbind him. That's what he speaks over us whenever we accept his blood. Unbind him. He is free. Let him go. Speak into the enemy. Speak into our flesh. Speak into the devil. Like,
This doesn't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, it's beautiful.
This doesn't have a whole lot of deep spiritual significance, but that verb there, lusate, anyone who studied Greek, you memorize the dog crap out of that word. That is like the what hablar is to Spanish. That's what luo is to Greek. That's how you learn all of your different conjugations. I don't know if it's even that common in the text, but it's regular. It's a very regular verb. Yeah. It follows all the rules, and so you use it to learn your imperfect and preterite and all that junk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I need more. Do you need more?
It's like the Hebrew equivalent is katal. That's how you learn all your. It's the katal of Greek, luo.
I remember when I first started learning Hebrew, and it was all with katal, and like, and this means killed, and I remember thinking, well, that's a weird.
It's because it's regular. That's the only reason.
Right.
It doesn't have any weird. It doesn't have all the. But what makes the verbs so crazy in Hebrew is those gutturals that change all the vowels. Oh my gosh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Greek has a weird thing where, like, time will go by and the language developed, and they took part of their conjugations of one verb and stuck them with another verb, and so it ends up. Yeah, nobody cares this much about language. All right. Actually, one thing is we have that a little bit in English, right? So present tense, I go. But what is it in past tense?
Yeah. I went.
I went. Went used to be its own. Went used to be its own whole verb tree of conjugations. And in English, we took those past tenses and stuck them to the present tense go. And then now it's just one verb created from different verbs. That's why it's so wonky.
Dude, English is such a gross. You can do so much stuff with English, but English is such a gross language, man. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
because it's like 7 languages slammed together. Yeah. One challenge I've never heard is, why didn't Jesus heal everybody at the pool of Siloam? It tells me pain and suffering are not necessarily always bad things to be avoided at all costs, since they are temporary. So this also gets into, like, what?
Were you about to say a theodicy?
Yeah, the problem of evil,
and
suffering. So the problem of evil, suffering. I need to make a video on it. Steven saw my old video on it that I never published, and he was ranting and raving about it. Basically, you have, is all pain bad for you? No. To grow, you must experience pain, because your muscles have to snap. They have to be stitched back together. The sinews partially break, bones partially break, and they harden and become stronger. So you have growth requires pain. It if God wants you to grow into the level of maturity and the type of person you want to be for eternity, then you have to go through some pain. You have to go through some difficulty, some challenge in order to develop the kind of character and maturity that's needed for what God wants us to be in for eternity. So does that mean he wants you to suffer specifically? Not necessarily. Perhaps yes, for some people, for some circumstances. He wants us to have life and have it more abundantly. He wants none of us to perish, but all of us to return and be in relationship to him and love him and have all that stuff. But there are still going to be difficulties in this life. Like, God does not promise us a perfect, easy life whenever we get saved. He promises us difficulty. So he says there will be trials and troubles and tribulations. He promises us the difficulty, but he says, take heart, I have overcome the world. Take heart in me, it's fine. And even though suffering sucks in this world, it is so momentary, it doesn't really matter. And, 1 billion years from now in heaven with God, dwelling with him, will you ever even think about the troubles that you experience on this earth? Even if you experience troubles your entire life, let's say it's 100 years, even if you experience pain and suffering that entire 100 years, that is a drop in the bucket of eternity. So it really, really doesn't matter that much. It's momentary pain. It's like, so the analogy I usually use whenever I teach the Odyssey is complaining that your life here sucks is like comparing if a baby were to conclude that that life is not worth living based on the first 5 minutes of it. All of us have had children, some of us more recently than others, but children kind of have a bad go of it the first couple of minutes of life. They just went out of a very tight, painful hole into a land that is too bright, too loud, too cold, and they're experiencing air and sensations before they've never experienced. So their whole nervous system seems like it's on fire, and they're in kind of agony. They're crying, they're terrified, they have no idea what's happening. The only slight bit of comfort they have is whenever they're finally given back to their mother and they're laid at her breast. It relieves a little bit of comfort, but ultimately you are in suffering. And to compare this life that is full of suffering, full of temporary pleasures, full of some comforts, but is ultimately full of suffering, to compare that to the eternity God has in store for us is kind of dumb. You shouldn't do that. There's so much better things that God has in store for us, God has planned for us in the next life. This life is meant to accomplish his goal of defeating sin and rebellion for eternity. And suffering and sin is a part of that. Why? We'll figure it out on Judgment Day. My personal theory on why suffering and sin is a part of it is to show us how evil we are. So that even those who are like die in the womb will be in paradise. During Judgment Day, it's my opinion that we will see all the sins of everyone else and we will experience them. If I've never seen, like for example, I have never murdered anyone. Came close a couple times, but I've never actually killed anyone. And yet I can hear about some really gruesome things that like the Japanese did during like the rape of Nanking. And just reading those stories is harrowing. It makes me want to be a better person just reading those stories. If you could see it in all of the details with a clear mind, with no filter to understand how evil sin actually is, every single person would reject it so hard that we would never want to sin again. So I think Judgment Day is actually going to be like the antidote to sin and evil because of how awful we are now. Those who are washed by the blood, who are redeemed from their sin and evil, will then be able to live eternity with God without the risk of rebellion, without the risk of sin, without the risk of future death, because we have been essentially inoculated against sin, evil, death, rebellion on Judgment Day. That's my personal view. But
Yeah, that's an interesting outlook.
I struggled through the problem of evil whenever I was returning to Christianity out of atheism. And it's not like super philosophical or deep, but I just was like, okay, so what reality would it have to be in order for me to go, yeah, there is a God? Well, let's say there's no pain and suffering. well, I might be bored, right? And then I might go, well, I'm bored. If there was a God, I would never be bored. So then maybe I'm not bored ever, but I'm just kind of happy all the time, but I'm not that happy. Well, if there was a God, I'd be happier. And then you could keep saying that every time. Well, if there's a God, I'd be happier. And then you get even more happy. And then, well, if there's a God, I'd be happier. And then I end up becoming some kind of being that's not even a human, that's more capable of experiencing happiness than we are. Well, then that being could even be like, well, if there was a God, I'd be even happier than this. And eventually, all you can have that exists is just this gigantic, ever expanding brain that experiences nothing but happiness all the time. Like, if you just make happiness the highest good, there's no complexity. And so,
Right.
That seems dumb, right? And so, well, I don't know if there's actually a reality that you could dream up that would make someone go, okay, now God exists. It's like,
Right.
well, what if everything was perfect? Yeah, well, then we might be bored and we wouldn't think there was a God.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then,
I mean, even whenever it was perfect and they knew it was a God, they still chose to sin.
And really, our problem of evil argument is it makes us feel icky that God allows evil. And so it's nicer to say there's no God, but that really doesn't make it makes me feel
evil
icky
any better.
Yeah, it doesn't solve the problem, because here's what happens, right? So there's no God and we still have pain, but there's no purpose to the pain. There's no meaning to it.
Right.
You know, okay, well, how is that comforting? That's even ickier, right? And so, or there's a God and he's evil. Well, I don't know. I feel like an evil God could do way worse than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or there's a God and
it could be Allah.
There's a God and he's weak. It's like, well, then he's not really God. And I mean, that doesn't have any kind of emotional fulfillment. So basically, the problem of evil is an emotional problem. And
Correct.
the best emotional solution would be, well, there's a good God and we just don't understand why there's evil all the time. But do a wager and you're best off assuming that there's a good God and using the evil that happens in your life to become better. And some of the pain that we experience is God disciplining us, because God says in Hebrews, he disciplines those he loves, just like you discipline a son. And so you may, if you feel like everything's going to crap in my life and I'm just so upset all the time, well, do you have unrepentant sin? Right? Do you have some area you're not giving to him? Because he might be trying to get your attention, you know, or you could just be in a crappy phase. But I something I've noticed is if you have a prayerful gratitude, no matter what phase you're in, there can be a lot of peace and joy, even in troubled waters.
Yep.
And it's not like you can always be happy. If my kid gets hit by a truck, I'm not going to go, well, you should be happy all the time, even in troubled waters. You know, sometimes the waters are very, very troubled, but a whole lot of our troubled waters is really baloney. And we need to shift our mindset.
It's kind of like what we were reading about with Mary and Martha, the perspective where she says that I know that there's still something better possible if you'll do it. And so we know obviously a little better than that, which is we know that he's going to do it. And so you could have all sorts of, like you said, your kid gets hit by a truck. You're not going to be skipping around the next day out unless you intend to freak everybody out or think you did it. But it's going to be I think what a lot of Christians I've met some, and it's kind of sad. They think that they're bad Christians if they don't always appear as super overjoyed. And if you read the Psalms, or if you even what we've been reading tonight, Jesus wept and things, it's okay to be sad, but to have like deep despair or that leads to giving up but sadness is not inherently bad. It's good to be sad when it's correct to be sad. It's but to lose hope, I think, is the type of sadness that's always just like, guilt is not inherently bad, but its purpose, or what it should do, is lead you immediately to repentance, and then uh then that's all gone. Once you're forgiven, you don't have it anymore. But it's easy to get caught up in guilt and to feel feel guilty about things that you did uh 30, 40 years ago, and that you hold on to it, and it ends up becoming something that harms you. And
Yeah, it's
and
not
also,
sanctifying you. You're just bludgeoning yourself.
right. Feel like I look like Rasputin right now.
You went from
I just-
looking like Cora to looking like you're about to tell me that I picked the right Grail, like the Holy Grail. You look like that
Only the
knight.
penitent man will pass.
Yeah, you look like that knight from the
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. You
Yeah.
chose wisely.
Yeah.
Or my favorite line, you
Yeah.
chose poorly.
Yeah.
In the movie, the Nazi guy, he thinks that the Holy Grail is going to be this ornate golden thing. Gosh, this kind of is a theodicy in a way. So he thinks it's going to be this beautiful ornate cup, and he drinks it, and then he like melts, like
Yeah.
all his flesh ages super fast. He melts and falls down. It's super dramatic and gross and crazy. And then the knight who gave him, who watched him choose it, just goes, "He chose poorly." That's all he says. After this guy just like has the most crazy death.
I remember when I saw that scene as a kid, and I thought, oh no, I would have been the stupid guy. I would have thought the same thing. I would be like, oh, look at this. Wow, it's got to be this one, the cup of a king.
Yeah.
So
Cup of a
C.S.
king,
Lewis
and then
in
it's
his,
a humble cup made by a carpenter. It's like, oh man,
Mm.
that'll preach. That's good. And it gives life.
Yeah.
The cup gives life. Man, that's a true myth. I gotta watch that movie again. It's so good.
Mm.
in C.S. Lewis's The Odyssey book, there's this famous quote of, "God whispers to us in our pleasures, he speaks in our conscience, but he shouts in our pains."
Isn't that true?
Suffering is God's megaphone to a deaf world. And I think that sums it up pretty nicely. Of why does he allow suffering? Sometimes we need to be humbled to such an extent that we are willing to seek him, because otherwise we make ourselves God. And we're
Yeah,
not
I've
willing
sadly
to
learned
come to
a
the
lot
true one.
from suffering. And so
Yeah.
now whenever
Same.
something turns up, I always talk to God and I say, I feel like I'm not that person anymore that has to learn the hard way. So if this is discipline, please take it easy. I mean, let me know, because I'm I'll repent. I'll make corrections or whatever. But
I recently
really
was
is,
telling
it's
God, Stephen, I was recently telling God, I think I've grown enough for this season. I think I'm good on my growth. I don't feel like growing anymore. Could I just like plateau for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell him when I'm complaining to him about things, and I always say, it's whatever it is, I'm there for it, but could it just be not too much? And then I say, whatever it is, I know I can do it if you're with me. So just promise me that give me some sort of inspiration or some sort of like little notice that you're here with me, and then I'll be fine. I won't even complain anymore. But
Well, and
there's
you're
certain
allowed
times.
to whine about it, or it asks that it ends. So in the Lord's Prayer, when it says, "And lead us not into temptation," it's not
Mhm.
just temptation like, "Oh, I want to go look at porn." That word temptation is trials.
Mhm.
So whenever Jesus is going through a temptation, it's not even necessarily just, "Oh, I want to eat the bread that the devil's offering me." It's like a tough time in the desert. That is what you're asking God to go through.
Mm.
So lead me not into trials is a better translation. And so, yeah, and a trial is like where you get dumped into the fire a little bit so that you can see your character,
Mhm.
So
It's
that
like
the
a
character can come
blacksmithing
up.
term to proof you. So you're
Yeah,
you're
well,
tested by fires.
Saint Augustine one time said, "The same fire that burns the chaff purifies the silver."
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Okay, but I'm feeling really chaffy right now. So if we could just hold back the flames, I think this silver is nice and pure. I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay. So, continuing on where we left off earlier, I did want to talk about the Passover of the Jews was near. So they did this right before Passover, and they all were around a tomb and even touched a body that was dead. So from the rabbinic view, and even from the Torah for a bit, you are unclean after touching a body, after touching the tomb.
Mhm.
So the fact that they were unclean right before Passover itself would have been like a big hubbub for them as well. And it's also why they specifically go to purify themselves, because they are no longer in a state of ritual purity to go and do their Hajj. So they were seeking Jesus and saying to one another as they stood in the temple, "What do you think that he will not come to the feast at all?" Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone knew where he was to report it so that they might seize him. And this again, he's required to do this as part of the law as a Jew. So he has to go. He has to do the pilgrimage festival for Passover. And they're like, well, he's going to get killed if he comes. Do you think he's actually going to show up? So they're like whispering about him because they know that he is in trouble. And they also know of all the miracles and everything else he's done. This is like year 3.5 into his ministry. So even if they're not privy to the fact that they want to like kill them, they still know that, oh, they've tried to arrest him before. They've tried to punish him. People have been putting word out to like, hey, if you know it, find him, see it, tell, like, if you know something, say something type thing.
Right.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to the pirate speak.
Oh gosh.
Chapter 12, but I don't think my voice can take it. I do love that Jesus sailed back into Bethany. Just there were a lot of really fun ones.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's obviously silly, but it does. If you've ever read something so many times that you don't immediately, like, sometimes you don't. It does bring a newness to things that's like, it's like, oh yeah, this story is you these little details. So it was actually weird to say, but I was like, I wasn't so much enjoying the pirate translation, but it was making it more of like where you, because again, I've read this stuff so many times that when you hear it that way, you hear it more in a way that's of basically what it is. It's telling you something, and you're not just kind of going over things that are scribed in your brain. So that was interesting.
Apparently I was yelling whenever I was doing it because I woke up my kids, and my wife texted me and was like, if you wake up our kids again, I'm going to be annoyed with you. I was like,
Fair.
and then a couple of minutes later, she comes down
The
and
wench
shuts the room
upstairs.
to my office. So I'm a little scared to
Tell
do my
that
pirate
wench to
speak
stay
again.
in the cabin.
But I can quietly do my pirate speak if you want to go through it.
Be
I'm
a sultry
all for
pirate.
that.
I can take a few verses for
Sultry
you.
pirate. Go for it.
6 days before the Passover feast, Jesus sailed back into Bethany, where Lazarus, the lad he'd raised from the dead, was chilling. They threw a grand feast for him. Martha served the grub, and Lazarus was sitting at the mess table with Jesus. Then that's bad, man. I'm like worn out already. I don't know how you did that for like an
Yeah,
hour.
because he was.
Then Mary took a pint of pure nard, a wicked expensive perfume, and poured it all over the captain's feet, wiping them with her hair. The whole cabin smelled of a royal palace.
You know, this is interesting because in the last chapter, it was saying Mary, the one who wiped his feet with her
Right.
hair, but it had never told us that
Mhm.
yet in the narrative.
Mhm.
So you could tell,
Right. Well,
speaking to his
there-
audience, he's expecting them to already know about this woman, at least from the hair
There are-
rubbing act.
There's 2 times where a woman pours expensive perfume on him and wipes it with her hair.
Mm.
So at the beginning of his ministry and at the end of his ministry, it might have been Mary for both of them. If it was, then she had already done this once before.
Interesting.
If it wasn't, then it was two unrelated women. So it's a question of, is he referring to her back in time to whenever she first did it, or is he referring to her when she's about to do it in like a week from now? I don't know. Je ne sais.
But Judas Iscariot,
don't have to
the
cuss.
traitorous dog, who was about to mute.
Oh, I missed something. No, I got that. It smelled like a royal palace.
So it's just interesting that he stinketh for Lazarus. So Lazarus is out of a place of like really dirty, stinky, nasty. And then Jesus is this beautiful smell like a royal palace because of the expensive perfume. So he's being anointed for his death, and he is the life, he is the resurrection. So it's interesting, like the idea of death and stank, and then the idea of life and this beautiful smell and all that. So you have like a juxtaposition, between the last chapter and this chapter with
That
the
was
smells
Alidawa.
itself.
That was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, in it. Okay, so also, do y'all know this, Stephen? What does Mashiach mean?
Means anointed.
Messiah, or the anointed one.
Yeah. And what's Christos mean?
Because to when you see it with Samuel and
The
David,
Messiah.
and you see they would pour, someone with authority to do so would pour oil on the head, and that would be the anointing. That would basically be like the what would be the word, like when you
Inauguration?
yeah
Inauguration
Christian.
of a priest or a king, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And normally it's who that does this?
It's usually a
High
prophet
priest.
that does it.
Yeah. And then who's doing it here?
A woman.
Mary?
And
Yeah. And what's interesting about this, you may not realize it if you don't know those meanings of the words, but this is where Jesus is being Christ. We always hear
Mhm.
Christ and think of it as the title, right? Oh, yeah, the anointed one.
Right.
Well, when did he get anointed? Right here. This is him.
And at the beginning of his ministry.
Yeah,
So he's
this
anointed twice.
isn't him becoming Christ in an ontological sense, right? Because he is, the Son of God,
right.
par excellence, and all that and so forth. But this is how he becomes Christ, really, in the anointed physical sense. And it's not from a prophet or like a high priest; it's from the sinful woman, and them going, well, if he knew who this woman was, he wouldn't be letting her do this. It's like, well, he does know who she is.
Yeah.
Pieces of hate. This is how all live streams should be.
Where was I? Okay.
But Judas Iscariot, the traitorous dog.
It's hard to see with one eye. My eye is watering, by the way.
Oh,
It's
I
like
didn't
trying to
think about that,
communicate
all
to
you
my
guys.
brain. One of your eyes is not working. One of your eyes is not working.
Well,
Oh, that
yeah,
kind
you
of
guys
I
hurts.
literally only have one
You've
eye.
done really well.
Yeah.
This eye doesn't work.
Everything
This is
looks
for show,
super bright
so-
through the eye that's had the eye patch the whole time. I think probably the pupil's super dilated.
Yeah.
The only
Everything's
difference for me
hard.
right now is that I can't see when chat pings, because I usually use my peripheral of my right eye to see chat. So I just can't see chat until I like fully turn my head to see it.
Where am I?
But other than that, my right eye doesn't work anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Judas Iscariot, the traitorous dog, who was about
To mutiny. I'm about to burp again.
grumbled, "Why wasn't this oil sold for 300 silver pieces and given to the poor?" He didn't have a cracken's tail about the poor. He was a thief what guarded the crew's treasure chest and used to pilfer the gold for himself. Jesus snapped, "Let her be. She kept this up for the day of me burial. You'll always have the poor with you, but you won't always have me."
I'm going to be done after this paragraph. I feel like
Yeah.
someone has taken a cactus and they're just painting my vocal cords with it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a huge crowd found out Jesus was there and swarmed the place, not just to see him, but to gawk at Lazarus too. So the chief priest plotted to murder Lazarus as well, because he was causing half the crew to mutiny and follow Jesus.
When I was a
I
kid,
can-
we had a game called StarCraft, and that game was fun because you could record your voice and make it the voice of the little people on the game if you knew how to edit the stuff. And we used
that's
to
fun.
there's this big bug alien named the Overmind. And whenever me and my brother would voice it, we would talk like with a rough voice like that. And man, my throat would get so sore after recording the voice for one of those. It hasn't been that sore since I did that with my brother back in 2000 or 1999.
The Overmind for the swarm.
So I also do like voices for my kids every day. So I do some form of like grubby, terrible sounding thing, like I don't know, all over the place. And
My
I just don't get
2-year-old,
that. My voice is fine.
my 2-year-old, she'll want me to make up the sound of whatever it is that she points at in a book. And so there's this one book that has all these fish on one of the pages, and all the fish look different. And so she'll point at the derpy. Well, it's Daddy, do voice. And she'll point at like a derpy looking one. I'll be like, and then she'll like point at the happy one. And, like she'll just be pointing at, or like the tiny one. And like she just loves it.
When we were kids, my
Peak
dad
dad.
used to tell us a bedtime story with it was Stinky, Pinky, and Dinky. They're all brothers, and Stinky was Stinky. But so what ended up happening is he'd tell these elaborate stories, and for like 45 minutes or an hour every night, because we keep saying like, "No, Dad, it's bedtime. No, Dad, keep going." And he must have done that like a couple months when we were younger, and then it just kind of fell out of practice because probably summer vacation kicked in and we didn't go to bed anymore. But then when we were older, we were like, "Hey, Dad, remember when you used to tell us those stories?" And we were like, "What? Like, where did you read those? Where did you?" And he goes, "Oh, I was literally just making it all up on the spot." And we're like, "What?" Because we had all these, like, he would tell these stories and this would happen, and our little kid brains were eating it up. We're like, "Oh, that's exactly what Pinky would do." And that's it. And so we're like, who's the inspiration for these? And he's like, "I was just making it all up as we go." But it's funny how kids, like my kids, like I remember I went through probably a couple months of every night we would tell a story, and I had a rough idea. I was supposed to like tell a story, but I ended up making it all up, and to now they're all sad because we were talking about it, and I can't remember actually how it went because I was just winging it the whole time. Not in the Mike Winger sense.
For future generations who watch this is what people were like before AI thought for everyone all the time.
So I went over this last week, but my eye, I was just born with a bad eye because I'm albino. So usually albinos have two bad eyes. So the fact I only have one bad eye is a miracle, or like a gift from God. There's another albino in my class in college, and he had binoculars to read the screen because of how terrible his eyesight was. And that's how terrible my eyesight is in this eye, but not in the other one. So we prayed over my kids that my kids would not be albino and that they would not get the negatives that come with it. And neither of them are, and they're all tanner than me. And my daughter is 2 years old and she's tanner than me, which is what I prayed for, but I'm very jealous of that fact. So yeah, anyway.
I will now, I know this is going to really, well, I won't use such crass terminology, but it would be a funny pun. This is really going to grate Christian Gadfly's gears, but I have a quick live stream to attend to on another channel, a much more popular channel. You know, I come over here and hang out with these guys, but I got to go do big things elsewhere. And so I'll be back just a moment, just a moment.
Yara, he be dropping anchor too.
Cross-streaming landlubber. Make him walk the plank.
All right. The next day, a massive fleet of people who came to the feast heard that Jesus was marching into Jerusalem. They hacked down palm tree branches and rushed out to meet him, roaring, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. 3 cheers for the King of Israel.
Pause there. Are we going to
Jesus
read
found
through,
it.
oh, hold on. Are we going to read through the
I'll
whole
read.
thing?
I'll read through it.
And then
I'll
we'll
read
go
through
back.
it.
And,
We'll come back. Aye. Jesus found a young donkey and mounted it just like the old charts prophesied. Fear not, daughter of Zion. Look, your king is coming, riding on a donkey's colt. His crew didn't understand this layout at first, but after the captain got off glorified, they remembered these prophecies were written about him. The crowd that was there when he called Lazarus out of the tomb kept spreading the word. The Pharisees looked at each other in total defeat, saying, Look, we're gaining no headway at all. The whole bloody world is to run off after him. Now there were some Greeks among the travelers who came to worship at the feast. They approached Philip and said, Sir, we want to see the captain. Philip told Andrew, and the two of them went and told Jesus. Jesus answered them, The hour is coming for the Son of Man to be glorified. Listen close. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the dirt and dies, it stays a single seed. But if it dies, it yields a massive harvest. He who loves his life will lose it, but he who hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal sale. If anyone serves me, he must follow my course and where I am. My servant will also be. The Father will honor anyone who serves me. Now my soul is deeply troubled, Jesus groaned. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But that is the exact reason I sailed into this storm. Father, glorify your name. Then a thunderous voice boomed from the heavens. I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again. Amen. The crowd standing there heard it. Some said it thundered. Others said it was an angel. It hailed. Jesus said, This voice didn't boom for my sake, but for yours. Now is the judgment of this world. Now the prince of this world, the devil, will be cast out overboard. He'll walk the plank. And I, when I am lifted up from the earth of the mast, will draw all men to myself. He said this to show what kind of death he was about to die on the wood. The crowd argued, Our charts say the Messiah abides forever. How can ye say the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Jesus told him, The light is with ye for just a little longer. Sail while ye have the light before the pitch black darkness overtakes ye. Put your faith in the light while ye can, so ye become children of the light. When he finished saying this, he slipped away and hid from him. Even though he had done all these mind-blowing signs right in front of their faces, they still wouldn't trust him. It's fulfilled what Isaiah the prophet barked. Lord, who believed our report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? They couldn't believe because, as Isaiah said elsewhere, God had blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, so they couldn't see or turn to be healed. Isaiah said this because he saw the captain's glory and spoke of him. Still, many of the high authorities secretly believed in him, but they wouldn't admit it because they were terrified the Pharisees would kick him out of the synagogue. They loved human praise more than God. Then Jesus cried out with a mighty roar, Whoever believes in me believes not just in me, but in the one who sent me. And whoever sees me sees the one who commissioned me. I have come into the world as a blinding light so that whoever believes in me won't sit rotten in the dark. If anyone hears my words and doesn't keep them, I don't condemn him, for I didn't sail to condemn the world, but to save the world. There is a judge for the one who rejects me. The very words I've spoken will condemn him on the last day, for I have not spoken on my own hook, but the Father who sent me gave me my orders on what to say and speak, and I know his command is everlasting life. So whatever I speak, I say exactly as the Father told me. George C. Scott.
Have you ever seen The Christmas Carol with George C. Scott?
No. I thought
my family
this is-
watches that movie every year.
I've
then
seen
also,
like a good 5 minutes of it.
Okay, and then we also love Patton. If you ever seen that movie, Patton.
Yes, I've seen Patton. Yeah. Patton is based. Anyway.
I have his book, The War as I Knew It, and he's funny, man. There's some parts of that made me bust out laughing reading it. Gosh, that guy's funny.
We're gonna grease the treads of our tank with their entrails.
There's a part where he like visited all these parts of North Africa, and he's describing what it was like walking into this palace with this sultan. And he was like, I looked to my left and there were the three wise men. It's like he's describing all like Bible characters. It's so funny.
Oh, dude. It's such a great movie. Okay. So they are with the disciples in the inner room, and she's anointing him with the hair. So as we mentioned earlier, that's the Christos. And the large crowd heard. Now, super interestingly, whenever they noticed that he was coming to the feast, they took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him and began to shout, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, even the King of Israel. Do you know, I'm sure Captain Cora there would know, do you know what they're referring to or why they took palm branches explicitly?
Me?
Yeah.
And so it's mentioned in Josephus also. I think it's something you did
Mentioned
for a
the Talmud,
king. It's Psalm 118, and it's a segment from the Psalms that they would read going up to Passover that all have to do with Yahweh saving them from oppressive nations. So it's called I can't remember what the group of Psalms is called, but I think it's Psalm 118.
The Halals.
Correct?
The Halals, yeah. 112 to 118 all start. We'll go through 118, but they all start and they all loosely end with hallelujah. So they're called the Halals, and they are the ones that you sing at the end of the Passover Seder. So whenever a Jew is going through the Passover meal, they end that's actually the last thing they sing at the end of their feast, at the end of their meal for the first day of Passover. So they sing this, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Baruch haba b'shem Yahweh. So like this exact phrase in the Hebrew is in Psalm 118. So they're quoting the whole law of the Messiah. But it gets more interesting whenever we look at the Talmud for why this is coming up.
Let's go, because I don't know Talmud stuff.
This is in Mishnah Sukkah 3.
I'm loving hearing all
and also,
sorry, keep going. I'm just interrupting exactly what I want to hear like an idiot. Keep talking.
Okay,
I love what you're saying right now. I love it. I love what you're... If I just did that every time you
it's on a long discourse on like what are these items that they take. So there is a mitzvah to take 4 species, to take 3 myrtle branches, 2 willow branches, 1 lulav, and 1 ithrong. The ithrong is actually what comes up for the Joseph story in the Quran within like they cut their hands. It's because of this fruit. But what is this lulav? Well, the lulav is explicitly the branch of a palm. So one may bind the lulav only with its own species, i.e. one of the 4 species taken with the lulav. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Meir says one may do so even with a string or with a cord. Rabbi Meir said there was an incident involving the man of Jerusalem who would bind their lulavim with gold rings. The sages said to him they would bind it with its own species beneath the rings, which serve a merely decorative purpose, not a halakhic one. So they're doing this, and they have a very specific time of year that they do this. And where in the recitation of halal would they wave the lulav? So the halal is what we just brought up. That's Psalm 118. It's 12 through 118. But they're specifically bringing up when would they wave the palm branches? And the context of this is actually Sukkot. So it's Sukkah. This whole Mishnah is about the festival of Sukkot. So they would, every year around Jesus' birthday, because he was born in the fall. I have a video on that if you want to debate me, go watch the video first. He was likely born in the fall around Sukkot. Sukkot is the Feast of Tabernacles. It's whenever God comes to dwell physically with us. We are tabernacling with God in the Feast of Tabernacles. So Jesus is born. He's tabernacling with us as a man. And then during that festival...
I got to say something. I don't interrupt people, Canuck. That's what I had interrupted you to say. But also, I have an old school video arguing that he was born in the fall also on my channel.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Way back. Oh, you've seen it
You go
already?
through the star constellations, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I respect
So that's actually
that.
one of the
That's
other
old
evidences we have.
school. That's like
Yeah.
that's before I
The
was even
I
slippery
think I've seen-
Judaizers' ears were tickling when I heard lulav, and this is 2
Oh,
years
here we
old.
go.
I have one. There's the myrtle branch and the palm frond, and we
Yep,
get them
he
every year
has-
for
That's the
Sukkot.
whole thing. That's what. Do you have the
But it's
Ephraim
you
too,
know
or do you just keep that?
well I did actually, and it got preserved. It got hardened. Uh,
yeah,
The ethrog, yeah, but
It's a citrus
so
fruit
it's
for those
just
who aren't
basically-
aware.
It's it's like a big,
big lemon,
gnarly lemon.
lime,
Yeah,
green
and so
lemon.
these are the
Yeah.
4 species, and you do a nice prayer where you say you shake it in the 4 directions, and of course the rabbis disagree on what those are. Some say, I think it's when to do up or left or something like that, and but you say Hodu la Adonai ki tov ki le'olam hasto, which is give thanks to God, for he is good and his loving kindness endures forever.
Yes.
So
which is
it's a
part
cool
of the
thing, and
halal.
it's fun to do. The kids love it.
So there's 2 times a year that you specifically are supposed to recite the halals, during Sukkot and during Passover. So whenever Jesus was born, whenever Jesus died, they're singing the Psalm of 118. And whenever we go through it, there's so many messianic things that just look like Jesus. Whenever we go through Psalm 118, you're thinking about Jesus whenever it's happening. We'll go through a good bit of Psalm 118 tonight. But we have explicitly during this recitation of the halal, that's whenever you wave the lulav. So they would do it. So at the verse, thank the Lord for he is good. That appears at both the beginning and the end of the psalm. And at the verse, Lord, please save us. Well, what
the
is
great
the
Hosanna.
Hebrew? What is the Hebrew here? It's Yah,
Hosh-
so Yahweh, Hosanna, well, Hoshana. And so
Yeah,
this is
Hoshana.
Hosanna in the Greek.
And Mark preserved
Hoshana.
it in his gospel. It's just a what's it? A calque or a loan word. He just takes it from Aramaic
Yeah.
and sticks it in.
Calc. So just straight up, Hosanna is a calc of this word in Hebrew. So what they're saying is literally, Lord, please save us. So in the Sukkot practice, you would specifically wave a palm branch thinking about God saving you. What are the people doing here? They went and got palm branches, met Jesus, and said, save us, God. This is kind of the idea. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahweh. So they're identifying him with Yahweh, even the King of Israel. So they're identifying him as Messiah, as the Savior, and as God. But not just God, the God who is sent. This is Daniel 7 language. And we see this again with Mark 14, 61 through 63. But we have the high priest there saying, hey, are you the son of the blessed one? They're expecting the Messiah to be some form of divine son. So the fact that he was a divine human is not really the problem. It's the fact that he was claiming to be God explicitly, because they were expecting the Messiah to be some form of pseudo-divine figure. They just didn't expect the Trinity. They didn't expect him to be Yahweh as well. So that was wherever the offense happened. But it's so interesting. The people here are using another festival's traditions, another pilgrimage festival's traditions. Just so happens to be a festival when Jesus was probably born. And it's the one of tabernacling, the one of God dwelling with us. And they're applying it to Jesus as he enters Jerusalem for Passover, which is also prophesied in the Old Testament of Yahweh coming through the east gate and the Messiah coming and riding on the donkey, which is so interesting. There's also the Jewish belief that, you know, in the Old Testament, there's 2 Messiah passages. There's one where he comes through the east gate on a donkey. There's one where he comes riding on the clouds from the east. They're like, oh, well, how can we reconcile these 2 things? How can we figure out if he's riding, like, that's a contradiction. He can't do both at the same time. He can't ride the clouds and come on a donkey. unless I guess the donkey's in the clouds like Muhammad. So how do we reconcile this? And one of the ways that they did it is saying, oh, well, if we are worthy of the Messiah in the Messianic age, whenever he comes, he will come on the clouds. If we are unworthy of him, he will come riding on the donkey.
Mm.
And he comes riding on the donkey. And that's just so interesting. But then you get into the halal. So they're doing this passage, and we'll come back to this one. But I do want to bring up Psalm 118 for what it says of Jesus. So give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good. His loving kindness endures forever. Oh, let Israel say his loving kindness endures forever. Oh, let the house of Aaron say his loving kindness endures forever. Oh, let those who fear Yahweh say his loving kindness endures forever. For my distress I called upon Yah. Yah answered me and sent me in a large place. Yahweh is for me, I will not fear. What can man do to me? Yahweh is for me among those who help me. Therefore I will look in triumph on those who hate me. It is better to take refuge in Yahweh than to trust in man. Ah, man. It is better to take refuge in Yahweh than to trust in nobles. All nations surrounded me. In the name of Yahweh, I will surely cut them off. So all the nations are surrounding me. It's like crucifixion language. They surrounded me. Indeed, they surrounded me. In the name of Yahweh, I will surely cut them off. They surrounded me like bees. They were extinguished as a fire of thorns. In the name of Yahweh, I will surely cut them off. You pushed me down violently to make me fall, but Yahweh helped me. Yah is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. In the Hebrew here, this is literally Yahweh has become my Yeshua. That's Yeshua for it's the word for salvation, but the word for salvation is the same word as Jesus' name. You just drop the final he. So we have God explicitly becoming Yeshua, and Hoshana is kind of the same thing. It's the same root as Jesus. So whenever they're blessing him, saying Hosanna, they're kind of doing there's a little bit of wordplay happening where it's the same root as his name. So his name means salvation, and they are blessing him, saying, Savior, come help us, come save us. Blessed are you who's coming to redeem us. Because they thought he was going to be the Messianic king that rules and conquers the Romans. They had the bad expectations of what Jesus was doing. Then the sound of joyful shouting and salvation is in the tents of the righteous. So this is what they're doing. They're so happy and excited that the Messiah has come. The right hand of Yahweh does valiantly. The right hand of Yahweh is exalted. The right hand of Yahweh does valiantly. I will not die. Indeed, I will live and recount the works of Yah. Yah has disciplined me severely, but he has not given me over to death. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I shall enter through them. I shall give thanks to Yah. This is the gate of Yahweh. The righteous will enter through it. So Jesus is the gate. I shall give thanks to you, for you have answered me. You have become my salvation. The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Jesus quotes this of himself to the Pharisees in this exact moment later on, whenever they're questioning him publicly. He says, I am the chief cornerstone that the builders have rejected, and you have become my salvation. Again, you have become my Yeshua. This is from Yahweh. It is marvelous in our eyes. What is marvelous? The crucifixion. This is the day which Yahweh has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. O Yahweh, save. O Yahweh, succeed. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of Yahweh. We have blessed you from the house of Yahweh. He is from the house of Yahweh. You say, oh, well, I mean, it's the temple, or maybe even like talking about God the Son language. Yahweh is God, and he has given us light. So Jesus is claiming to be the light. We have Yahweh giving the light. Bind the festival sacrifice with the cords of the horns of the altar. You are my God, and I give thanks to you. You are my God, I exalt you. Give thanks to Yahweh, for he is good, for his loving kindness endures forever. We have the binding of the sacrifice to the horns of the altar, and the idea of like the ram being sacrificed in place of us. Like Jesus is the lamb to be slain, and he is the ram with thorns, the crown of thorns from Isaiah, or from Genesis 22 with Isaac and the binding of Isaac, and there's the ram with the crown of thorns, and we have like the festival sacrifice who is bound with cords to the horns of the altar. And the horns of the altar is the bronze basin there. It had horns on every side, but man, there's like, you could preach for a really long time on just the halals. Like 116 is also super interesting because like it's very much resurrection language all throughout it. You have
Mhm.
rescued my soul from death, and precious in the sight of Yahweh is the death of his holy ones. And I shall lift up the cup of salvation, the cup of Yeshua, and call upon the name of Yahweh. So the idea of salvation comes from lifting up the cup of salvation, the cup of Yeshua, and drinking of it and calling on the name of Yahweh. Interestingly, the cup that Jesus lifted up during the Last Supper was the cup of salvation. So he lifted up the cup of salvation, and it's the cup of the new covenant. And we have, Jesus is salvation. He is Yeshua. It's just so many interesting things in the Hebrew of the halals and the practices and all that, which we did a stream on not too long
Yes.
ago. Why am I in John 20 all of a sudden? That's not
I don't know, but I'm too tired. I'm gonna have to jump off the ship into the water, swim toward the sirens. I'm a big wimp. I was texting them earlier today, whining to Steven. I'm like, why are you always leaving our stream for another stream? Being mean to him. He's like, I'm so sorry. It's just that I've got to do this. It's like, bro, I leave all y'all streams like an hour before they're over. Like, just call me a hypocrite. What are you doing? Why are you apologizing to me?
I think this is a record for you though, Christian. This is, what are we now? Almost 2.5 hours. Well, I guess you.
No.
You joined pretty
Last
soon,
week.
though.
Last week he was here for the entire stream and it was 3 hours.
Oh, he was.
So last week he was there from the start to the end. So,
And
were you there for the
I
end?
had
No,
a
you weren't.
horrible-
You dropped out just a little bit before.
it was like all of my intestines and everything. I had diarrhea the next day. I had a horrible headache. And I was like, my wife kept needing me to do chores. And I was just like, I'm never staying up that late on a live stream again. I'm never going to do that again. It was horrible. I went through like 4 cups of coffee. I'm a wimp, man.
Yeah.
But y'all keep it.
Speaking of which, earlier,
What
think
does
I've
me
seen
being
all
a
of your
wimp
videos.
remind you of?
You
Because
being
I'm
a
about to
wimp.
get
Oh, your
angry. You're about
videos.
to see my angry face.
Your videos. So earlier we were talking about how I saw your video on Jesus being born in the fall. I think I've seen all of your videos. And one day I was
wow.
just interested and just went through them all. But yeah. You have some really good ones. Not just like skits, you have like actual like teaching videos for people if they have not watched your stuff.
Yeah, occasionally
So.
you'll find a little nugget of gold in the pile of dog crap. There's a lot of dumb videos. But yeah, I have some that are. I have like a random 3-hour video that's like well thought out and took months to do. And then just a bunch of like 2-minute dumb
Nonsense.
dumb.
Yeah.
I remember
Oh.
I got excited when I
You-
saw Zit to Thrill because I was like, oh, he's a musician.
Oh, it was a good one.
Oh yeah.
I
bless
love the
you
one
all.
where,
God bless this stream and
your wife
everybody
divorces
watching.
you because you keep listening to Thaddeus's music. Anyway. My throat not like me tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, we already read through all of this in the Pirate Speak, so I might just bring up the things I think are interesting as we go.
Yes.
If you have any thoughts, let me know.
Okay.
So the crowd is like, hey, he's the one that raised Lazarus from the dead. So the Pharisees said, they see that you are gaining nothing. Look, the world has gone after him. They're like, oh, well, we're too late to kill him. The world has already accepted him. Because why are they saying that? Oh, they just called him Hosanna. Like, they just like, hey, salvation. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel. Like, they're claiming him to be the Messiah in no uncertain terms. And they're like, hey, it's too late. It's there. Like, what we're going to do is not going to change anything. Now there were some Greeks among those who were going up to the worship at the feast. This is interesting as well. So the Greek language, talking about those who are, it's kind of like Noahides nowadays, but the idea, and this actually is in archaeology and is also mentioned in the Talmud, the idea of the good ones, those who keep the law but don't fully keep it. They have a very specific title that is escaping me at the moment. I literally just wrote about it in my book. But it's like the friends of God, or like the followers of God. Hold on. I'll just search in my book real quick. History of the argument. British history, Jewish and Christian Arabia. This be gonna be hard to find. All right, hold on. I guess I'll just Google it instead.
Bear with
Greek
him, ladies and gentlemen.
Jewish
He's got only one eye.
title. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but there's this very specific title that they had available, and there's like inscriptions of it, and the houses that they would teach out of basically had these inscriptions of like, they're essentially Gentile Jews that aren't quite Jews, but circumcise themselves and practice some of the law, but not all of the law. They're not fully converts, and they're not converts. So they're this weird group that existed within Greece. So what he brings up here is specifically the Greeks who are basically among those groups. And archaeologically, we know these people existed. So then these came to Philip, and he was from Bethsaida, and so on. Now he's saying that the hour has come for the man to be glorified. So he knows he's about to be killed. And this is at the very start of the Passion Week. And interestingly, I've mentioned this before on my old streams on Matthew, but Jesus comes in the day that the lamb would be selected for the Passover sacrifice. So you have the lamb coming in to the house of the people of Jerusalem, and you have the son, who is the lamb to be slain, coming into the house of his father in Jerusalem. He goes into the temple, purifies it, cleanses it, teaches all that stuff. But he's examined all throughout the week. The lambs would be examined all throughout the week. So there's a lot of parallel between what Jesus does every day and what's happening to the lambs every day.
Mm-hmm.
I have streams on that back in the past. I might eventually make a video on that as well, whenever all the Talmudic dilemma stuff is calmed down a bit. But truly, truly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. So Jesus has to die in order for the kingdom to actually be coming alive and spreading and everything else.
And
So,
going back now to what the Pharisees were saying when they were saying it's better for one man to die than for all the people.
yes, exactly. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilled or not self-fulfilled, but like a prophecy that they didn't understand they were giving,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. So like, hey, it is better for us that he die than for he to live. And Jesus says something similar of the Holy Spirit. It's better for me to leave than for me to stay, because then the Holy Spirit will come, the Comforter. Interesting little parallel between those two. Now my soul has become dismayed, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this very hour. But for this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then God says, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. He's glorifying his name, Yahweh. But the Father responds as if he's glorifying the name of the Son. It's kind of interesting. Maybe because the Son is Yahweh, which we get in Matthew 28:19, which says, in the name, singular, of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, meaning Jesus shares the name Yahweh with the Father. So the Father is glorifying the name Yahweh. And we also get this in Hebrews 1, with, of the Father, the Father says of the Son, your throne, O God, is forever. So he is saying that the Father says that Jesus is God. The Father seems to identify Jesus' name with himself, as Yahweh. So the crowd of people who stood by and heard it were saying that they had thundered. Others were saying his angel has spoken to him. So they didn't quite understand what was happening. I think it's interesting. Like, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. And many in the crowd did not have ears to hear. They heard the noise, but they couldn't get the message. And this is just like preaching the gospel to people who are not ready for it. They can hear the noise that we're saying, but they're not being penetrated by the truth. The seed is falling onto rocky ground. It's not actually cultivated enough to where it's good soil for the seed to be planted. And we have the crowd
And
being mixed.
it
The crowd
reminds me
has
too of
some
also
rocky, some
with
not rocky.
in Exodus when God's speaking the Ten Commandments to all the people, and it said there's a great thunder. So there's this this the link between the sound of thunder and God speaking.
Yeah. It happens a lot. God's presence seems to just absolutely terrify people, which valid.
Yeah,
So-
right.
The voice is not for your sake, but not for my sake, but for your sake. Yeah. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all men to myself. What? That's a weird phrase. That's a weird statement. Now, mind you, even if you take a late date, even if you take an extremely late date for John and say it was at the turn of the 2nd century, even if you take an extremely late date with John, this would still be fulfilled prophecy. Because the church was not established whenever John was written. No matter what dating you give, the church didn't exist. They were under heavy persecution up until the 300s, mid 300s. So up until that point, they were heavily persecuted off and on for centuries. There was not an established church. And yet, this prophecy seems to say that Jesus will be lifted up, he'll be killed, he'll be raised to heaven, and then all men will be drawn to him. So we'll have an abundant, large church that is created from Jesus being killed, resurrected, and lifted up into heaven. What do we see? Christianity is the largest religion on the planet. We all worship Yahweh through Christ, with Christ. Christ is Yahweh, but we are drawn to Jesus. Men of all generations, men of all languages, men of all culture are drawn to Jesus. Jesus is kind of a nobody, historically speaking. He didn't have a following. He didn't write books. He didn't have political power. He didn't have an army. He didn't have formal training. He was just kind of this, kind of a hillbilly because he's out in the sticks in Galilee. So he's kind of like a hillbilly blue collar worker. And yet he's prophesying, hey, I'm going to be killed by these people. And then all men will be drawn to me. That's kind of an insane statement. Yet, what do we see in history? Christianity exploded in the 2nd century. Exploded. And so after this was written, Christianity went boom. Now, I take a earlier date for John writing. I think it happened before 70 AD, likely during the early 60s. But even if you take a later date, you say it's after 70 AD for some, in my opinion, kind of stupid reason, because it doesn't mention the destruction of the temple. Anyway, even if you take a later date, it's still not going to be, because it has to be within the lifetime of John, because this is not an anonymous letter, despite what some people claim. That's within 90 AD minimum. The church wasn't there yet. So Jesus is prophesying of the church, and it's true. So unless you're like, oh, well, this was changed later on in history. I'm like, okay, it's an argument from, I was saying it's an argument from silence, but like we have manuscripts early on that have this.
Well, am I correct, Chris,
Anyway.
in thinking that the only reason that certain scholars date things so late is because they say otherwise? Well, they don't say this, but they say they don't take prophecies as
the temple.
legitimate, and so they say, okay, so since there's things in here that did end up happening, it obviously can't be
Right.
supernatural, so we'd have to date it to when those things, after those things happen, so that they could write them into the story.
That's exactly what a lot of them do. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. Be right back.
Okay. Well, here we are, everybody, back with me. And I can't think of a more funny circle to end up at than my initial plans for taking a ship to Chris's house to basically pirate his home. And now here we are as different styles of pirate. And I really should not have gone the teleporter route, because that has I have one piece of my teleporter completed, and it's made out of tungsten, and it was incredibly difficult to create, and I need 412 more of them. So the teleporter I don't think is going to happen. I'm kind of leaning more back towards the ship, and now that I got all my piratey feelings going on, probably going to take back up the ship idea unless something better knocks into my noggin. I have this dried radish, and it has been, as you can imagine, of no help. Absolutely no help. So it's just I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder if I should possibly maybe give up, but that also doesn't seem very exciting. So the plan continues, but the means of completing that plan are a bit up in the air at the moment. So if you have any ideas or would like to donate anything, I'll take just about anything. Someone from last week, they were kind enough to send me this chopstick, which I have tried to integrate, but I was having trouble attaching it to the tungsten. That's where the radish came in, because I thought maybe, you could put the stick in the radish and then slide the tungsten ferrule over it. And now we've got something. Not quite usable though, but still it's more than it was. And it's definitely more than if we just have these individual pieces with each other. So I'm working on it. But and that's how you say dog in Hebrew.
Kelev?
Yeah. Well done, Chris.
Thank you. Kelev raw is all one of the phrases I know. Anyway. I'm sure that's exactly what you're talking about. I don't know what you be talking about.
You pirates are all the
You
same.
missed a bit. Ash, you missed a fun stream. We be about done with this one right here. Especially because I had bibimbap for dinner, and the sesame seed oil is not reacting well to my body.
Oh
so I
boy,
might have
that
to end
is
soon.
tasty stuff though. Sesame seed oil. That's what
Oh,
the toasted sesame seed
yeah.
oil. I started putting that on everything, and then I realized that it's probably not so healthy.
Ash doing something cooler. Ooh.
Well, I mean, does he
Ew,
have
what's this?
one of these or one of these? Oh, no.
Oh yeah.
Well, it'll be up for debate, Ash.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a bit of pirate speak. So we have heard that from the law that the Christ is to remain forever. And how do you say the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is the Son of Man? So Jesus said to them, for a little while longer, the light is among you. So again, the light, they were just referring to the Psalms with Yahweh bringing the light. He's referring to himself as the light of Yahweh. So I will make you bibimbap whenever you guys visit my house. It's very tasty. I'll make you kosher chicken parm, and then I'll make you some kosher bibimbap, and it's gonna be choice. Okay. Walk by the light so the darkness will overtake you. He who walks in the darkness does not know where he goes. While you have the light, believe in the light so that you may become sons of light. So pretty based. And then the arm of the Lord, which we went over, me and Ash and David and Anthony. We went over a lot of the stuff with the messianic claims, the prophecies of Jesus in the Old Testament. Arm of the Lord is an interesting one in Isaiah because it is basically being used as the Messiah, but also the agent of Yahweh and also Yahweh. So the arm of the Lord here is being referred to as Jesus, but the arm of the Lord is also salvation. So Jesus is salvation. Jesus is Yahweh. Because again, John has a very, very high Christology, but so does every other gospel. For this reason, they could not believe. For Isaiah said again, he has blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, lest they see with their eyes and understand with their heart and return, and I heal them. This does not mean that God doesn't want us to be healed. He is fulfilling prophecy. And then after this, he says that he wants everyone to be healed. He wants everyone to come to know him. He wants all to be able to see. So he blinded them for a time in order for judgment to happen, in order for Jesus to be established historically for us today to be able to know him and worship him and have the test of the crucifixion, that we can be confident in our faith. So there's a reason why God does things. Crazy, I know. Yeah, he who believes in me does not believe in me, but in him who sent me. And he who sees me sees the one who sent me. So if you see me, you've seen God. That's a pretty crazy thing. And then I have come as light into the world. Again, this is all deity claims. So that everyone who believes in me will not remain in darkness. Anyone who hears my words and does not keep them, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. Interestingly, the Father says that Jesus is the judge. He who rejects me and does not receive my words has one who judges him. The word I spoke is what will judge him on the last day. So he is not the judge, yet his word is the judge, which is also interesting because Jesus is the word, the Logos. So we have the Logos here being used explicitly by Jesus. The Logos of Jesus is the one that's going to be judging. Jesus is going to be judging. The Father is going to be judging. How do you square all those things? Oh, the Trinity. Jesus is the Father and Yahweh. They are the same being, different persons. So that's how we figure all that stuff out. For I did not speak for myself, but the Father himself. Yeah. For I did not speak for myself, but the Father himself who sent me has given me a commandment, what to say and what to speak. And I know that his commandment is eternal life. Therefore, the things I speak just as the Father has told me. So he is the prophet like Moses that knows God face to face. There's so much fulfilled prophecy in John. There's so much context of the rabbis in John. There's so much first century eyewitness material in John. There's so many arguments he's adding so people get the context of what was missed in the synoptics. It is just amazing. Yeah. So John touches on a lot of the theology. John touches on a lot of the deeper level stuff. And then Mark touches on a lot of the interpersonal stuff because it's written by Peter. So the two, old Matthew as well. So other than Luke, all the other ones would be essentially eyewitnesses. But the eyewitnesses that are the closest to all of the events are Peter and John that are write any gospel. James doesn't write, he gets killed too early. So Peter and John wrote some aspect of a gospel. Mark was the scribe for Peter, and John wrote John, with or without a scribe. Either way, they both add a unique element to it. Matthew focuses on the messianic side of it and the fulfilled prophecy side of it. Luke focuses on the historical details and Jesus as the lamb to be slain. Mark focuses on the humanity of him and his deity being mixed together, and then John focuses more on his divinity and also the culture of the day and how Jesus was responding to it and showing that they were false. So it's it's just so interesting. John is undermining the theology of the rabbis and at the same time showing Jesus is God in every single chapter. Mark does the same thing, but it's more inferred or implied. You have to know the context to understand how Mark is doing it, and John makes it very explicit. So it's just interesting. Anyway, Mark has the highest Christology. I think Mark actually has higher Christology. The only statement I think is higher Christology than Mark is John 1:1. Other than John 1, I don't think anything else in the Bible has as high of Christology as Mark in general, other than like maybe Matthew 28:19, because it's saying that Jesus is Yahweh, like pretty clearly. But of the Gospels, now obviously you have Paul just straight up saying Jesus is God. Like, yeah. I'll die on that hill of transfiguration. Yeah, no, Mark definitely has. I kind of want to do Mark. I don't know what we're going to do after John. So I've been debating on what to do. I kind of want to go through Job just because people don't appreciate Job enough. I also kind of want to go through Mark just to point out literally every single place where Jesus claims to be God, because he does it in every single chapter. So I think that would also be fun to go through.
Was that you and me? Were we just hanging out talking one night, Chris, when we went through all of that? Because I remember talking about that with you, but I don't think it was on a
all
stream.
Of Mark?
Yeah.
We did a Bible study on it, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
It was one of our 6-hour Bible studies.
I knew it happened. I just was like, I don't think it happened on a stream though.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's a lot to go through, dude. The heck is Bibby Boop? Bimmy Bop is the blessing of. Hold on. I'm gonna say the blessing of the gods. That's a little sacrilegious. So let's say here's Bimmy Bop. You can make it in a lot of different ways, but it's a Korean rice bowl, and it's delicious. You use bulgogi meat, which is like Korean sticky barbecue, a little spicy, and then you have so obviously they have some bean sprouts and cucumber slices and kimchi and
Oh boy,
other fixins. You can do lots of different things with it. I usually do cabbage, carrots, corn, Bombay potatoes if I have the time to make it. If I don't, then I don't. I do sweetened, slightly pickled cucumber strips, and then a fried egg and rice, and then the meat. So I do want to try other things like half grapes or banana slices. I think those would also go pretty hard in it.
Oh, interesting.
But it's a somewhat. I like the sweet notes with the spicy and savory. I think it
Have you ever
out,
tried
so little punches of corn?
Pickled mango, the Middle Eastern pickled mango, the spicy pickled mango?
I don't think so. I've had lemon preserve.
Okay.
I've had a somewhat decent bit of Moroccan food, but I haven't tried all the different options of it.
We just tonight we had for the second time. There's a Persian stew called koresh. Why am I blanking? Pasenjun. And it's the main flavors and the main ingredients that make up the stew base are pomegranate syrup and walnuts. So it's a very new taste for as Western flavors go. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Ash.
Pickled mango sauce.
Mm-hmm. It's good, but I don't know. I don't think anybody else in my household liked it. But I think in Israel it's like a typical thing that's put in shawarma. And so I got it. There's a couple different Middle Eastern stores around here, and I think I must have got it from there. And it's definitely a shock to the senses, but I loved it. It's really good. But it was one of those things you hear about it and you just have to try it. Spicy pickled mango. Just like that's why we made that stew well, this is the second time we've had it, but we're reading what it was about because my family now we've been eating like different Persian stews for 2 months straight. And so this was one where we were looking at it and we're like, well, that sounds really weird, so we got to try it. And it's definitely a new taste, but it's good. At first, my daughter who loves all the other stuff, she loved it, or she didn't like. She was uncomfortable. But then the second day, when it could kind of sit and everything kind of meld together, now she likes it. Oh wow, that looks like a whole lot of
Oh,
egg.
I shared. Well, that's the only top is egg. This is all cheese and sauce, and then that's
Oh
bread,
boy,
and then there's a bunch of the unspoken meat, and then more cheese and sauce, and then more bread. So this is a croque
wow,
madame.
that's like a bedtime
This was
snack
my
for
lunch
me.
today. You just have to replace the ham with turkey, and I think you would quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I cook. I le cook. So that was my lunch, and I had for dinner Bombay bibimbap. So I've had
Okay.
quite a flavorful day. But I don't like bechamel that much. So I do a sauce that is mostly cream instead of it. So I have like a spicy mustard spice with like clove and allspice cream sauce that I put on my croque madames with a ton of Gruyere, and it's very good, very good.
That was one thing I
So
was thinking today, Chris, is how it's like when you end up coming to visit, I feel like we're one of the we could take a whole week of like cooking together for the family, and you're probably gonna be here for like a couple hours, and then it's like what are we're let's just run upstairs real quick and throw something together.
yeah, whenever you guys visit, I have too many options to cook for you guys, so it's going to be difficult to narrow it down. Which is I always make everyone who comes to my house a chicken parm with risotto.
Yeah, and I
Um,
want that too because I don't really like
yeah,
that, and so I would like for you to change my mind on that. I have faith in you, Chris.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, even like, let me bring up like a normal croque sir. Uh, these things can be good, and then they can be kind of trashy. So this would be more of the trashy version that I am like, why even make it? And it's just like
Looks
a
pretty
bit of
good.
cheese on toast, and it's basically just like a grilled cheese with toast. And it's like there's so much possibilities with this thing, man. But they're not very like some of these look pretty good, but no, it's like like good quality brioche.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I need to make a cooking channel. That's ultimately what this is boiling down to.
Yeah.
But I do actually on my Discord now for those who just became members and want to join. It's in the description on YouTube if you want to join the membership. I now have a cooking channel with all my recipes on Discord and advice and everything else. So I've dabbled into that as well. But anyway, any final thoughts before we just ramble about food for another hour?
Well, I'm hungry now. Wait, is it late? Oh, it's 12:30. Okay, that's not too bad. That's pretty good for us. It's not too late to have more stew.
All right. Well, I may or may not stream the rest of the week. My book is getting close enough done that I kind of just want to work on it and try to get it done. I might stream Wednesday. I might stream Friday. I might just work. Just noticed Captain Cora.
Sallallahu alaihi
Okay,
wasallam.
perfect.
It is not I, Cora. Cora does not have a very specific way that she enunciates words. This is another person.
Oh no. The veil has been removed. It was me all along.
all
It
right.
wasn't Cora. I'm her stunt double.
I'm not sure what the skyline is, but
Oh, that's
I
the
also don't know how
Cincinnati
much time
chili.
I will have. Ah, okay.
It's, you've probably heard
Maybe
of that.
we
It's very
should-
polarizing.
I have not heard of Cincinnati chili,
Mm.
but I'm also not super deep into chili. Actually, if you want to do a chill stream, I'd be down for that. Yeah, let me know. Other than that, I might just work on the book more. Okay, I'm gonna go drop the anchor and battle the Kraken. Kraken within. So, aye, me mateys. I be seeing you off now. Time to walk the plank.
God bless you.
May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Spirit be with you always as you travel in this world. May he protect you from Davy Jones' lacquer.